All right, what's going on, everybody? It's Austin Holloman here in Sri Lanka, and no, I am not in India. That was a joke that I made saying that welcome to India because Sri Lankans and Indians are not the same, but they're very, very, very similar. And I figured that if I got scammed in Sri Lanka, that India might not be that much better, and India was up next on our list. By the way, for all the Americans that are watching, India is nowhere near uh, Iran, nor is Sri Lanka. I seen somebody left a comment in one of my videos, uh, and they said that, oh, I need to ask somebody in Kenya or in Africa in general what's going on with Iran when Africa is nowhere near Iran. So give me one more second. We gotta go on the intermission for just a second. Hold on. I got an emergency. All right, thank you guys for waiting. I'm very sorry about the wait that we just had. I had an emergency I had to call, I had to pick up. So, as I said before, to all the Americans that are watching, Kenya is nowhere near Africa. I mean, not Africa. Iran. If you wanted to fly to Iran directly from Kenya, it would take you every bit of anywhere from 6 to 7 hours. So, asking someone what's going on in the Middle East and thinking that their information is more valid because they're in Africa doesn't make sense. So, if you guys don't remember, in 2024, we did these style of interviews where we talked about uh, trending political topics that could affect people that are living abroad. We did panels of interviews and we invited people and they came and spoke. And we had one of our consistent guests, not Fit Fearless. We had Fearless, which was one of our consistent guests. And you guys seemed to give him a lot of slack for his political points last time. So I made sure I brought him back this time. Um, you guys gave me a lot of slack from my political viewpoints as well, because I said, thank God that Donald Trump is doing something like this. And there's a number of people in the comments that just the amount of energy that they have to send all these capitalized. I mean, they're writing messages so long I didn't even read all of it. I read the first and last sentence. And these people are so emotionally invested in this topic. I swear to God, they're probably going to be the next mass shooter that just happened in Austin, Texas. The guy that was the Muslim Senegalese guy, that I wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys leaving those comments is going to be the next one of those guys. I'm not even joking. Because like the amount of investment they had, I'm like, either this dude is Iranian or he's a Muslim. Something isn't right for you to have that much energy. So make sure you guys are watching your back, because you do have some people in the comments that are willing to be a suicide bomber behind this situation in Iran. And the funny thing to me is that a lot of these people that are defending Iran are black people. You guys should be the last people to defend Iran. Iran is the same. Go look up the Arab slave trade and go look at what they did to black men in Iran. They were walking around with no dick. I'll just tell you that to be short. So anyway, let's go ahead and bring up our guests. We're going to ask them some questions. What's going on?
What's going on, brother? If you allow me, I know you're going to ask me some questions, but man, I didn't know your political view. I'm glad I kind of caught that when you said that. I would like to, if you allow me, because I know a lot of, I don't know how your audience is, but a lot of people don't take history lessons, so they don't even know how we got to this point. And I would like to give a little bit of history behind it. So if we're going to talk about the future and where we're going in World War III, maybe we need to know how we even got to this point. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right. It's only going to be about 5, 10 minutes. If I go over, just hit me up. So, real quick introduction. The last time I was here, a lot of people got upset because I said some things that were uncomfortable. Not because it was evil, just because it was inconvenient. And sometimes people don't hate the lie, they just hate the mirror. So we live in a global system, global power, resources, military, economic pressure. You may not like it, but that is reality. And we benefit from it. We being people in the United States. I always reference this movie, A Few Good Men, when Jack Nicholson says, you don't want the truth because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties, you want the military on that wall. And neither I don't have the time nor the inclination to explain myself to men who rise and sleep under the blanket of the very freedom that is provided and then question the way in which it's provided. So I say this: if you for military action, then just say it. Don't pretend you don't like global dominance without force. That's what happens. Power isn't maintained through vibes, it's maintained through leverage. And if you believe that America should protect its trade routes, its resources, global influence, then understand that's what we got to do. If you're a person that says, I don't like intervention, that's a moral position. Just stay consistent with it. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Just be ready for higher energy prices, supply chain instability, weaker negotiating power, and be ready for other nations to fill that vacuum. I always say this: everybody want to eat the steak, but nobody wants to see the slaughterhouse. Now let's get to how all this thing started. We got to go way back. A lot of people didn't take history lessons, so I'm going to give you a history lesson. Only going to take 5 minutes, but we're going to get there. This started back in 1901. And the reason I'm giving you this history lesson, Austin, and giving this thing is because history repeats itself, and you're going to see a lot of the same things that are happening now that happened then. And when we say why it's happening, this is why it's happening. Darcy. So in 1901, there was a British man named Darcy. He went over to what is called Persia. Y'all ever watched the 300? 300, the Greeks was fighting Persia. That's what it is. Persia. He went over to Persia and said, hey, I'm going to give y'all some money. Why I'm going to give y'all some money? Because I want to get with the oil. He hadn't found oil yet. There was no oil over there, but he bought some rights to an oil. About 4 years later, he struck oil. And when he struck oil, they called it the Anglo-Persian Oil Company. Cool. Persia at the time was happy because they said, we're going to give y'all a cut, give y'all 16%. We're going to come over here. We're going to take all the oil. Y'all get a profit from it. That was great. Then the Brits came in, Winston Churchill said, you know what? Our Navy ships run off of this oil. So we need about 51%. They bought 51% of the oil. Fast forward to a little bit later, Persia, as you know, becomes Iran. Why does it become Iran? Because the Shah at the time, you got the Shah and the Ayatollah. The Shah, which is the monarchy, said, you know what? We are Aryans. And because we are Aryans and we want to be close to Hitler, we want to be like Iran. Iran, which becomes changed its name to Iran because they wanted to be closer to Hitler.
A lot of people don't know that specific fact. Yeah.
So so this is going to play a part. So the reason why he wanted Iranian supremacy. Fast forward a little bit later. So now you was at 1935 when Persia became Iran. You fast forward to 1951. I can't pronounce his last name, but his first name is Mohammed Massadad. He was just a regular person over in Iran. And he said, man, this is kind of crazy. He was Western educated, had been trained in Paris, Switzerland, talked English, all of that great stuff. He said, the oil beneath Iranian soil belongs to the Iranian people. Why ain't we really getting paid for this oil? So he went to the Brits and he said to the Brits, why don't y'all open your books? And he got elected as prime minister in 1951. And the company became the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. And he said to the Brits, look, open your books because something ain't right. And the Brits, what they was doing was they was discounting all the oil to the Navy and they was shortening the books. So they wasn't giving them all the money. He said, this really ain't what I'm trying to do. Y'all kind of lying to us. So this is not a conspiracy theory. This is what happened. The United States, as we always do, and it's unclassified. It was Operation Ajax in 1953. The CIA, which was two brothers, the Dulles brothers. If you ever flew out of Washington, D.C., flew out of Dulles Airport, they was a part of the CIA, Secretary of State. They said, man, that oil? Oh, no, brother, that oil belonged to us. We said we want it. So the CIA and MI6, they negotiated a coup. They paid the people, the mobs, the propaganda. They bribed military officials to destabilize the government, which is what we always do. They destabilized the government and they got Mossad removed. So and then they got the Shah instated. So this guy, Mossad Mohammed, was officially elected. Now just remember that he was elected. We came in, we did a coup, we got rid of him, and we put a Shah in. The reason we put the Shah in is because he was going to keep selling the oil to the United States and Britain. If y'all ever went to the gas station, that Anglo-Iranian oil company, it's called British Petroleum. So every time that you get gas from British Petroleum, remember, you are supporting a stolen democracy. They put the Shah in. So now when you go fast forward to either the Shah or the Ayatollah, you got two different factions of people don't like. People didn't like the Shah, who was established in 1950. Why? Because I said he was Iranian, and they felt that he was on this thing that the lighter, the whiter, the better. So all the dark people who are Iranian, he tried to whitewash them. He put them in tribes. So you have two different people in Iran. You got the light-skinned people who was benefiting financially, and you had the darker tribes like the Kurds and all of them who wasn't benefiting. Fast forward. The reason I say history always repeats itself, if you looked at Cuba, this happened in 1953 from Iran. If you look in Cuba in 1959, you had Batista. Before Batista, Cuba was like the gold mine of the Caribbean. Mob would go there. It was everything, but it was racist. Batista had to colonize where if you white, you right. If you black, you got to get out. That's when what's my man's name? Fidel Castro came in and said, nah, we ain't doing this, bro. Everybody is Cuban. It don't matter if you white, you black, we all Cubans. We ain't doing our resources like that. Y'all got to get out. He nationalized Cuba. And what happened? We hate Cuba. The same thing happened with the Shah. We installed the Shah. Everything is fine. But remember, he's a racist person. Half the people don't like it. It was two Irans. You got the Iranians who felt they was free. You got the Iranians who felt that, man, this is crazy. Fast forward to 1979. 1979, there was a coup. They had the Ayatollah. So the Ayatollah comes in. It's a coup and they take over. So they take over Iran. They kick the Shah out. Said, no, we're not doing this. You've been racist. You've been doing all of this crazy stuff. We're not rolling with you. The Shah gets sick with cancer. That's what was said. He goes to the United States to get treatment. When he goes to the United States, the people in Iran say, hold up, we seen this picture before, bro. Last time dude went to talk to the United States, it was a coup. So they got all the hostages in the embassy. I think they got 52 or something hostages, and they kept them for like 400 and something days because they said, this is our leverage. We do not want the United States to come in and do another coup. We have elected somebody. So the problem has always been the Shah was trying to build democracy, and he was trying to build with the Western family. The Ayatollah said, we don't deal with that. And this is where when they say death to America, this is where it all comes to, because we, America, installed a puppet government, which was the Shah, to benefit us. And we always do it to benefit us. That's why we mad at Cuba when Batista got out, because a government that didn't go with us was installed, which was Fidel Castro. When it came to Iran, it was the same exact thing. So, like I said, before this, Israel and Iran was cool. It was like, oh, they was partners. After this, because we didn't give them they took their own oil and nationalized their own oil. We wasn't happy with it. Now, some of this will be my opinion. So, like, I need you to understand that the Israeli government was hard under the Ayatollah, and it was hard under the Shah. It just mattered what part you was on. If you was lighter, you liked the Shah. If you was part of the Kurds, you liked the Ayatollah. Fast forward to how all of these groups started happening. You had the PLO. So if you had Yasser Arafat was he was a freedom fighter for Palestine. He was in Lebanon. Israel invaded Lebanon to get rid of Yasser Arafat. Anytime you take somebody out, people feel the vacuum. Those people we call terrorists. If you were Indian, you say, man, I'm just protecting my right. A Native American. If you an American, you say the Indians are savage. If you are over in like Afghanistan, you say they're terrorists. If they there, they just say they freedom fighters. So I say that to say with Palestine or with Lebanon, that's how you got Hezbollah. Hezbollah was created. Anytime you have a vacuum, that's all that's going to happen. You don't create terrorists. In Afghanistan, we had the Mujahideen. What is it? Yeah, Mujahideen. So we always do proxy wars. We give them weapons to fight the Soviets because we didn't like the Soviets in Afghanistan. Those same people that we gave weapons to, they became the Taliban, which is crazy. In Iraq, we was with Saddam Hussein because Iraq was fighting Iran and we didn't like Iran. Then all of a sudden, when it's no good to us, we get rid of them. If you remember the hypocrisy of what we do, You may be too young, but when Reagan was president, now remember, we don't like Iran, but if you ever remember the Iran Contra, we sold arms to Iran, people we don't like, so that we could fight the Nicaraguan Contra. So never think that money and resources are never part of it. We always do proxy wars. When everybody says, "Oh, we not fighting and they not fighting," or Hezbollah's bad, yeah. Iran uses Hezbollah, so they don't want to fight on their place. We do the same thing every single time. Afghanistan, Ukraine, we fighting a proxy war with them. Just so we don't have to fight it. We pay other people to fight our war. We've always done it. It always happens. So when we try to blame Iran for doing what we do, it becomes the same thing. Mm-hmm. One other thing, when we fast forward a little bit further, that I want to show you that's kind of crazy. When we go to today, if you remember, we had a deal where all seven, I think it is 7 countries, Russia, China, we all agreed that Iran wouldn't get nuclear weapons. They agreed to it. I think that was in 2015 or 16. And as soon as Trump got in, he said, "Nah, we ain't doing that." The reason I want you to understand how history works is this. If I'm Iran, I look back and I say, all right, let me think about this. We got Gaddafi, and Gaddafi said to the United States, "You know what? We're not going to do weapons of mass destruction. We fine. We're not going to do it." We give them up. What happened to Gaddafi as soon as he gave them up? They killed him. When Saddam Hussein said, "We don't have weapons of mass destruction, bro. We not fighting nobody," they came in, raided him, and he dead. North Korea says, "We got weapons of mass destruction. We got a nuclear war bomb, and we're going to do what the hell we want." We negotiate with them. So Iran, we telling Iran, give up your nuclear aspect. And they say, "Well, brother, we already seen what you done did to Gaddafi. We seen what you did to Saddam Hussein, and we see what you don't do to North Korea. We're not giving it up." So when we get to today, the negotiation is you got to give it up. And they saying, "No, we don't want to give it up, man." So if you're talking about today and how things happen, Iran is just going all out full. We say we're going to negotiate and we don't negotiate. Every time there's been a ceasefire, Israel has went against that ceasefire 1,600 times. They destroy their people. There has never been a part that Iran has been on the offense. My question when we get to today is, what next? What does day 2 look like? In our opinion, United States, we said we cut off the head of the snake. We don't learn anything from history. We did that to the cartel in Mexico. We said, "Man, we're going to cut the Sinaloa cartel. We're going to kill the head dude." Whenever you create a vacuum, sometimes 10 heads grow back, and they grow back more dangerous. In Iran, there is no power structure. And the next person who may take it over may say, "I'm going full strength," because you already showed us what y'all do when y'all negotiate in peace. What does this mean for somebody like you? Iran is going to blow up. Man, what is that strait called? It's all where the oil goes through. Yep. They got a stranglehold on it. So all the commerce and things that go through there, it seems like it's hard, but all they got to do is blow up one ship, or even threaten to blow up one ship, or just put a bomb out there, and they can stop all commerce. Why? Because the man with a gun and one bullet can hold back 100 people, because nobody wants to be that one person that comes through and gets shot.
I think, and I think that's part of the reason why it's kind of an echo. Let me see. I think that's part of the reason why Trump wants to, one of the reasons he wanted to get a hold of Iran and do regime change was because he wanted a similar leader that was friendly like the one before, because they have too much control with that Strait of Hormuz to, affect the economy globally if they wanted to. But I know in 2025 that we bombed their nuclear facilities. And I believe it was 2019 that I forgot who it was that Donald Trump had assassinated there, but that happened as well. for those people that seen those things happen, what is different? What exactly? And you kind of touched on this a little bit, but can you tell me more about what is different about this situation versus those back then?
You took out the head of their organization.
Yeah.
So now you have
Mm-hmm.
a power vacuum. Whenever you have
Mm-hmm.
a power vacuum, everybody fights for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's people in Iran saying, yeah, I want this and I want that. It's tribes. So none of those tribes are going to get together. And then whoever may come in is not going to trust America. Now what you have is Iran saying, look, Dubai, y'all, y'all letting the airspace come through. We getting y'all too. We shooting everybody down who wasn't with us. The worst kind of animal, I don't care if it's an animal that is passive. The worst kind of animal is when you back it up and put it in the corner. When it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel that it has any other options, it's going to fight like hell to get out. And you just put Iran in a space where it feels it doesn't have any other options. And because of that, that's where things start to go crazy.
So you wouldn't say that. So you wouldn't say that this. What is your opinion on when Trump says that he's? And I have my own opinions, but what would you say is your opinion whenever Trump says that he's doing this to free the Iranian people? I did several videos, and we talked about whenever they took Maduro out of Venezuela, that yes, he said that he was freeing the Venezuelan people, which he was because they were under an oppressive regime. That's why so many of them are scattered throughout Latin America. But they are refugees throughout Latin America. So he was right about that. But I've
But
always
no,
said,
but here's this double-edged sword. And
okay,
I hear what you're saying. Yes and no when I'm talking about Venezuela. This is go back to I think Dave Chappelle talked about the pimp who slaps his girl and then comforts her and says it's going to be all right. That's what the United States does. We put all the sanctions on Venezuela and we say you can't sell, you can't do this, and then their economy collapses, and then we say we coming in to be the savior. The same with Iran. We put sanctions on them. We say we can't trade. We do all of this, and then we say we're going to liberate them. We say that we want their what is it? The Iranian women have to walk around with the hijab on, and we care about the women. Yet, in the same stroke, we bomb a school with 160 girls in it. So you're bombing the people, but you're liberating the people. And what you have is two facets.
mm-hmm,
And the reason I brought up Cuba, if you've ever been to Miami or in Florida and you look at the Cuban population, they hate Cuba. Why do they hate Cuba? Because all the people who left when Batista was in were white. And they had all the land, they had all the power. Then they went to Miami. So they hate Fidel. They hate the communists because they had all the power. The same thing in Iran. All the people who grew up with the Shah, they hate the Ayatollah because all those people were part of the power structure. And when you don't have a power structure, you hate the power that's in now. So who are you really freeing? Are you freeing the people who love the Shah, who were economically good because they were part of that tradition? They were the Persians, the Iranians. Or you freeing the Ayatollahs who said we got structure? So you got two different facets in there.
I mean, so yeah, I mean, but what I'm saying is like Venezuela. The main thing I always say was about the oil,
Oh yes.
but there's a similar argument that could be made with Iran, but both stand true as you said before. Like the people did need to be liberated, but they also need to have a friendly regime so that way they gain more leverage over China and Russia, and they need to have more control over the Strait of Hormuz. Just like how we keep the Suez and the Panama Canal under our influence, because if not, that could I mean, it's kind of obvious if the adversaries get control over that, it just puts us in a bad position.
But if I go back and I'll say this, even though I agree with you,
Mm-hmm.
you want to control, You want people in America, you want them $2 gas prices, you want those resources, because places like that, Africa, they have the resources, but we get it out we let them get it out the ground, and then we tell them how they can use it. If you want those gas prices low, that's what we're going to do. And if you want to believe Trump, though, when he says no new war, it's not our business. It's not our business what they do.
Mm-hmm.
If I was a country like Iran, or if I was a country like Venezuela, Iran, any other country that didn't have nuclear weapons, the first thing I do is get a nuclear weapon. That'd be the first thing I do. We didn't make the world safer by attacking them, because what other countries look at and say, the only way we can protect ourselves is through nuclear weapons. Now, what the United States says is, this is in our best interest. And if we topple that regime, we are hoping that the people rise up. But the people ain't rose up in all this time, because only 20% of the Iran is Muslim. So that means 80% isn't, and they have not risen up now. It's not going to happen. The people in the urban areas, those are the Persians in the areas, Aryans. The people in the fincas and the farm, those are the Kurds. Those are with Ayatollah. The other ones are with the Shah. So it's divided automatically. So who's going to rise up? What's going to be their thing to do?
Let me read a couple of these super chats. Rasa Ra 2000 says, "Hey Austin, I love your content as a Marine Corps veteran. I am not for this war, but I wish all of our troops the best. Thank you very much for the super chat." He also follows back and says, "Your guest is spitting facts." Yeah, he's very knowledgeable on the history of Iran and this entire situation, which is very important. It's very important to know history to better understand things and why they happen. Then we have African Native with a 10 Canadian dollars super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Also, if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you hit the Cash App at $ Austin Holloman, or send a super chat of at least $5 or more for me to read your question. I also have another guest I want to bring on as well, and we're going to continue with another question here. Let me see. There's some background noise. So now that we already know that the United States and Israel did a joint operation, as you said, they were bombing Iran. They even bombed some school children, which were just, I don't want to be insensitive, but casualties of war. It's just part of what comes with war, unfortunately. And this is why wars aren't fought at this rate as often as they used to be, because, I mean, as you can see throughout Vietnam and even Desert Storm, like, it's just innocent people get caught in the crossfire all the time. And so now the supreme leader, Khomeini, that was there, is now dead. They tried to put a new runner-up supreme leader, and they said hours later his spot was bombed too. He's dead. So I think essentially it seems like anybody that tries to come up and tries to replace is gonna die, and they're basically forcing a democracy on them, because it's at this point they're gonna get what they want completely. So
but here's the thing: we've tried to force the democracy on everybody. That's how you got Hezbollah. That happened over there. Every place that we said we're going to force democracy and we're going to put these certain people in, it always comes down to somebody else comes into the vacuum and creates even worse conflict on every side that we've tried to do it with. That's how we got the problem in Yemen, the problem in Iran, the problem in Afghanistan. A vacuum of power always leads to somebody who says, I'm willing to do what the other person isn't willing to do.
correct.
You hear me? Is my background noise too much?
No, it's fine now.
Okay.
And I know, and not to interrupt you, you said there's a casualty of war.
Yeah.
Do you think terrorists are born that way, or are they created?
They're definitely created that way. I mean, I've watched a few. I forgot his name. I think it's Sean Ryan or something like that. He's a former. He's a veteran. He interviews guys that fought in like Desert Storm, and he talks about how he was ordered to kill people that were supposed to be arms dealers over there, and I think they were in Iraq or something like that. And he has to kill people in front of their kids, and then he talks about how those kids grow up and become the next person he has to kill.
Mm-hmm. So if you're saying we're looking for somebody to rise up, but that hasn't happened in any time we did it. Gaza, you got Hamas. Lebanon, you got Hezbollah. The West Bank, you got the Palestinian Authority. In Yemen, you got the Houthis. In Syria, you got somebody. In Lebanon, you got somebody. We haven't learned that we think by cutting off the head, it cuts it off. We just create more freedom fighters that say, I'm not going to allow this to happen.
That's not why they were attacked, though.
Why?
I think we're missing the point. That's not why Iran was attacked.
Why was Iran attacked?
Iran was attacked because of the nuclear weapons and the other weaponry that they were making. My name's Jared. I was in the Navy. I was the aviation ordnance, which meant I built bombs, I built missiles, I built all those things. That is secret clearance, so I'm privy to weaponry. What they were doing was creating.
Since 1992, Netanyahu has said that Iran is weeks or months away from having a nuclear weapon. That's 1992. So 1992, 2002, 2020. It's been 25 years. He's been saying that they're weeks away from a nuclear weapon. He said,
well, if you see the video that they made recently,
he said the same thing about Saddam Hussein.
If you see the video that they made recently, they made an aircraft carrier that had other things that would position them in order to get the missiles and the weaponry that they needed to reach the United States, right?
Incorrect.
Okay, so you didn't see that video?
Incorrect. They don't have.
You didn't see that video?
They don't have the ability.
Also, I wanted to go to another point that you were making too about the girls that were bombed supposedly. Mm-hmm. So are we gonna take the word of Iran, the people who killed thousands and thousands of their own people? Are we going to take their word saying that we bombed girls? Do you think it was us or do you think it was them?
Do we take the word of Israel when they bombed thousands and thousands of people?
That's not my point.
Do we take the word of the United States?
Hold up. My point is,
do we take the word of the United States when we bombed thousands and thousands of people? Do you think Venezuela was about a drug lord?
My point is,
this is what the United States said, that we went to Venezuela because of drugs. Do you take that? Is that true?
Can we go back to the bombing of the girls?
Wait, first, I want you to answer that, because if you were saying that if we got to take the word of the United States or the word of Israel,
that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
You're telling me I can't take the word of Iran, that they got propaganda.
What I'm saying is, Iran has been killing thousands and thousands of their own civilians.
That's their people. What I got to do with that? That's their people.
You let me finish?
Why do I want to put the United States?
Are you gonna let me finish?
Okay, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
They killed thousands and thousands of their own people because these people were revolting against the government. Correct? Is that a correct thing to say?
I don't care. That's their people. Their people need to rise up. That has nothing to do with me. I don't want to put my son, my daughter, my uncle, my aunt in harm's way because of somebody else killing their own people.
So my point is, the point that people are saying in mainstream media that the U.S. bombed these little girls in the school, are we going to take that point from the Iranian government or the Iranian, the way that they get their media out, which is heavily government, right? Like the government runs the media there, right? So are we going to take that reporting, or are we going to actually think about it logically and see that they killed 30,000 people who were protesting against their government, like 2 weeks ago?
Sir, whose word do you want me to take? Do you want me to take Israel's word when they won't let any media inside of their country? Do you want me to take Israel's word when they are bombing people? Do you want me to take the United States word when we say that we went over to Venezuela because of a drug lord? Whose word do you want me to take? Because you can't, because the media is controlled so much by Israel. You want me to take their word? I guess he got a honey he got to talk to. Go ahead, brother. I ain't mad at you.
No, I'm listening. But what I'm saying is, you can't take the word of these people who are just saying that they bomb.
You want me to take? You want to take the
I
word of
mean,
the United States? Do you want to take the word of
I think you're
Israel?
missing the point. So I guess my only
No, I'm
point
not missing the
was,
point. Hold up. You never answered the question. So I'll ask you the question. Was
mhm.
Venezuela about a drug lord?
Should we go back to Iran? And
Oh,
we can
God
talk about
damn, man. Come
Venezuela,
on,
but
bro.
I want to stick
Because,
on
no,
Iran
because
for a
here's what you
second.
did. What you tried to do is you tried to nullate the word of Iran. And by doing so, you're
Absolutely, they're
saying that
terrorists.
Israel and the
They're
United States
terrorists.
word
They're
is up
terrorists.
here.
They're a
Hold
terrorist
up.
country.
You tried to nullate
They're a country
the
ran by
Native
terrorists,
Americans or the Native
were ran by
American
terrorists.
terrorists.
So Iran wasn't ran by terrorists.
If I came into your country and I did a coup and I destroyed the person that you elected and I took them out because I could get the oil and those people fight back, how are they terrorists?
That's not. I think this
Is
is
the
what you're doing.
Taliban
This is what you're
terrorists?
doing. And this is what people like you and Dr. Umar. No, no offense to you. I
Not
don't
that.
know you. No
I
no
don't think, no,
disrespect to
to me,
you.
they're not
This is what
terrorists.
people
They're
do.
not
This is what
terrorists.
people do. Okay, I just want the audience to listen to this, and
Okay.
we're having a conversation, right? This is what people do. They say these big words. They have all of this history. They throw all this history out, and then
Iran is not
they
terrorists.
negate
I answered your
logic.
question.
They
I
negate
believe
logic.
them. I believe
The
them.
logic is these people were building a weapon that was going to make it to the United States. That's
They've been building a
irrefutable.
weapon
The
since
logic is
1992.
the logic is they were getting ready to have
They've been
nuclear
getting ready since
weapons.
1992.
They were getting very close.
They've been
Okay,
getting close since 1992. That's what we've
my
been
point
telling them.
is,
We've
okay,
been
my
saying the
point
same
is,
thing.
if you allow me to say this, my point is, I don't care if they got bombed. They deserved it
You know why I
because
care?
they were killing thousands of thousands of their own people. The person
What
that they
the
that
fuck
got
does that have
killed.
to do with us?
Okay.
They killed thousands of people in Rwanda. They killed thousands of people
But what
in
I'm saying
Venezuela.
is
They killed thousands of people all over.
they
What does that
killed
have to
all
do
of
with
these people,
us?
right? They killed all of these people, right? They were
And
making these weapons, right?
and
They were making these weapons, right?
and
So if they got bombed, then what? Like, why does it matter? Why are you
what?
angry that they got bombed?
I'm angry because Americans died over there for them people to get bombed. I didn't want to be over there. None of them. I didn't want to spend no weapons. I didn't want to spend no time. I didn't want to spend no blood, no savage. I didn't want to spend my tax money to go over there and bomb some people who never did nothing to me. Just like Muhammad Ali said, them they ain't never called me no Negro. What I'm
Yeah,
bombing them
but
for?
I'm sure the Italians said the same thing about the Germans, right?
I don't care what they doing over there. I'm not in the Middle East.
No, but what
They're
I'm
not
saying,
coming after
I'm
me.
asking you a question about the German
Why
war
do
that
you
was
keep
fought.
asking me a question, but you never answer my question?
What was the question, sir?
My
Go
question is,
ahead.
all right, let's go with the first one. You believe that drugs were about Venezuela?
I believe that Venezuela, they took over Venezuela because they could, and they took over Venezuela because they were bringing drugs into the United States of America. Is it right? I'm not arguing if it's right or wrong. I'm
Whether
telling
they
you why they
bombed,
did it.
hold up, you in the Navy. You in the Navy, right?
I was in the Navy. Now I'm
All
a
right.
board
Do
certified
the
behavior
fishing
analyst.
boats,
I
do
have a
the fishing
PhD in
boats that they
psychology.
bombed, do the
Let me tell
fishing
you my
boats?
credentials so that way
I
we
don't need
understand
the
who each other
credentials.
are.
I'm gonna ask, this will tell
Uh,
me your credentials.
no,
Do the
but you just
fishing
called out
boats
my
that they
credentials.
bombed?
I'm not in the Navy.
You were. It doesn't matter. You were.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
do the fishing boats that the United States bombed have the capability to get to the United States?
Absolutely.
We can't have a conversation. You got to Google it, bro. You got to Google it. The
Absolutely.
fishing boats could only go 100 miles, maybe 1,000. It's 3,000 miles to get there.
That wasn't why they were going to a location. Then that location was going to bring it to another location. Then that location was going to bring them to the United States of America or Colombia or
One
wherever it
out of
was.
every, no, 75% of the Coast Guard who stops those boats found no drugs. Found no drugs. So what information do we have to kill those people? If 70, we didn't try them, we didn't capture them, we just killed them.
Let me
And you're fine with that.
Let me intervene really quick. We got a super chat from Andre. He says, "You are good. Just don't go to the Middle East. Avoid any layovers in that area." Also, thank you for the super chat. D. Frank says, "America is entering a fatal debt spiral. China is rising. Israel knows this. They're forcing Trump to close the chapter in the Middle East for them to take over a greater Israelite state," which is a lot of people believe that as well. I mean, we'll see how things pan out, but I could believe that too. Whenever the Jews got to Israel, they didn't have as much land as they have right now either. But so right now, I see you guys kind of went off into Venezuela to compare. But besides Iran, Israel, and the United States, what do you think about the other 13 plus nations that are getting involved to enter into this war? Some people think that it's going to start World War III. I don't. I think it's going to stay in that region. I think China and Russia have pretty much abandoned Iran. Their threats have been kind of empty. I mean, maybe time will tell. But I mean, what do you guys think?
It'll be over in a month.
That's what I think.
Yeah. That's what they said about Afghanistan. That's what they said about Iraq. It'll be over in a month. And you said it, bro. It'll be over in a month. Do you still believe there was weapons of mass destruction?
I have a medal from Iraq. That was the most.
So did you went over there and fought and you found the weapons of mass destruction?
I didn't go to fight. I was at the coast. I was on the coast on the ship. I didn't go to fight.
But you found the weapons of mass destruction. You found them. I mean, that's what we went there. You found them, right?
Is that why we went there?
That's what we were told. We went there. That's why the Joint Chiefs of Staff went there. That they built.
You know why we went there? We went there because we were angry that they did 9/11. That's why we went there. Really.
Fuck, man. Saudi Arabia. Nobody from Iraq or Afghanistan was on the. Is this where you getting your information from, brother? Please tell me any person.
Weapons of mass destruction, but what caused it? What I'm saying is 9/11.
You said we went there because of 9/11. There was nobody from Iraq that had anything to do with 9/11. The people that were on there were actually Saudis.
That's true.
That is true. But what I'm saying is what caused us to cause the war in the general.
Why did we go to Iraq? I could understand you said we went to Afghanistan. Afghanistan is where the Taliban was, and that was where Osama bin Laden was at. Why we go to Iraq?
What I'm saying is what caused us to initially even get into the conflict was 9/11. And then we started to get more, not we, but America in general started to make up more shit. That was the initial thing that they said that, okay, we're going to go over there and we're going to have a war against terrorism. You don't remember that?
Who was Iraq terrorist against? They weren't terrorizing anybody. Who are they fighting against? That's what I'm saying. You don't know anything, brother. I'm sorry, but you
I don't know anything. I have a PhD.
It makes you ignorant.
I have a PhD in psychology.
What's that mean?
I own a clinic.
So does Dr. Umar. He's still trying to get a school.
No, but I own an actual clinic. I don't have a fake clinic like people like Dr. Umar and people who say history for no reason.
So with your PhD, did you find the weapons of mass destruction?
No, sir. I don't know why you personally attacking me. I'm just telling you my opinion.
You said that's why we went over there. So if
but you emotional, what you emotional for? We grown men. Why you getting emotional?
I can't get hyped. That's what we're supposed to do on the show, brother. It's a show to get the hype up. You're supposed to be like that.
Nah, you getting hyped. That's fine, but you getting emotional and you attacking my character. That's what I'm saying.
All right,
for what?
All right. You the PhD.
Google me.
I'm sorry, brother.
You could Google me. That's all you gotta do is Google me. But what I'm saying is,
maybe instead of me Googling you, why don't you Google the weapons of mass destruction?
I understand the weapons of mass destruction argument. I'm just saying the reason that we got into the conflict in the Middle East was caused by multiple situations. That was one of them, the one that I brought up.
Sir, if we got into 9/11 because the Saudis were on the plane, why did we go to Afghanistan? And why did we stay there 20 years? Why did we go to Iraq, who had nothing to do with that? That is like I'm getting mad at you, and now that gives me an excuse to hit Austin. Austin be like, what I do? I ain't even in this conflict.
Okay. Well, going back to Iran, the reason that happened was because of the reason I said before. Also, I believe
what was
that
the
there's
reason
some other.
You said that they were creating weapons.
Yes.
You know that when we bombed them before, we took out all of their scientists. Israel,
how do you know that? Have you been to Iran before?
Israel did it. Israel. This is what Israel said. Israel called, and this is
so now you believe Israel. You believe Israel when it's convenient,
right? You asked me a question, so I'm going to show you. Two things that Israel did the night before they lit up the whole thing. They called the scientists, and they said, "Hey, you either give us the secrets, or we're going to bomb you." They bombed you. The second thing, what they did was, they said, "We can't get a hold of you So they were trying to get them through communications. They couldn't get them through the telephone. So they said, all right, they found out that they were doing pagers. Israel found out the company that was doing pagers, and they got a hold of the company. And they said, we're going to put the bombs in them. So that's why when the people over in Iran had pagers and they were communicating, they blew them all up with the pagers. So when you say they wasn't doing anything, they had already strategically struck them by blowing them up.
Okay, so do you believe Israel or do you not believe Israel?
Israel has been telling me since 1992 that Iran is 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon. When we did the deal, when Obama and the other countries did the deal, they went into the country and did checks, and they said they are not where they are at. They did eye checks to say it. They are not where they are at.
Okay, so let me just break down my
Do you
argument.
believe Israel?
No, let me just break down my argument, right?
Do you believe Israel?
My argument is, let me just break down my argument. My argument is these people, this repressive regime has been killing their people for a long period of time.
And
they've killed thousands. Why do you keep interrupting me? Why do you keep interrupting me? I don't understand.
Because that makes no sense. I don't care what other people are doing in their country.
Can you just respect when I'm talking?
I
never interrupted you. I never
You're right.
talked
You're right.
over
I
you.
apologize.
It's disrespectful. So my point is they were doing these repressive things in their regime, right? They were killing thousands of people. They were threatening the United States and allies. They were talking about how they're going to send weapons over to America. And then they get bombed. They get bombed first with like you mentioned before, with the location where they supposedly had the nuclear weapons. Then they got bombed again and they killed the supreme leader right now. My point is, the reason that they got bombed this second time is you or I can speculate as much as we want, but at the end of the day, neither one of us really knows. But what I'm saying is, I do not feel sorry for a man who killed thousands and thousands, possibly millions of people being killed by the United States government or Israel, whoever he was killed by. I'm not red or blue. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I'm Green Party. I'm by my money. So I don't really care about like the Democrat narrative or the Republican narrative. I'm just saying, logically speaking, that's what happened, in my opinion. Now, like I said, you probably know more than me about this topic as far as the history and things. I'm just saying, from a logical standpoint and common sense wise, why it happened, the reason that it happened, and I don't feel sorry for the man who used to lead Iran for getting killed because he was a repressive tyrant.
So let me go with your logic. When are we going to go and nuke North Korea?
We should. I mean, not we should. It doesn't. So with North Korea, if they start threatening us, if they start pointing missiles at it, like what they were doing about 4 years ago, I believe if someone else was in office, then that possibly would have escalated the way that this was escalating.
So when are we going to go? When are we going to bomb Netanyahu? Because he killed thousands of people.
I think he's next. Honestly,
you think we're going to go after Netanyahu?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think Trump is done with either kidnapping or killing leaders. I don't think so.
Bruh, there is no way in God's green earth that we are ever going to go after Netanyahu.
I don't know about going after Netanyahu, but I agree with you, Jared, about going after more leaders. I think Cuba is up next more than Netanyahu. But let me read one more super chat really quick.
My question then, though, before you read that, why? Meaning that's not our country. And when the reason I kept saying "and" to the guy is because look, if those people, Iranians, want a free country, you know what they do? They fight for their country. Why is it that we have to fight for it? We've already gone over to Afghanistan and showed we're gonna stay here 20 years. And the day that we leave, we went back to normal. You know what China does? China says, y'all go ahead and fight. Y'all spend trillions of dollars. We got $38 trillion in debt. And China says, y'all go ahead and keep fighting all them wars. We're going to spend our money wisely. Why are we the police? Why do we have to go over there and fight? If those people don't want to stand up for themselves, don't have them stand. Nothing I can do about it. I don't want my people to die for somebody else. There was Americans that died, and I say, for what? What did you die for? You protecting a freedom that those people don't want to fight for? There is no way that I'm going to fight harder than the people that I'm protecting. You got to have more sweat in the game than me.
So the super chat says, in the age of deep seek ChatGPT, there's no excuse for stupidity. Ask AI. Thank you for the super chat. As I said before, if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you hit the Cash App at $Austin Holloman with a question or a super chat.
Yeah, and Austin, I know we got a dude who says he's in the military. There's another gentleman, Ronan, travels. He's usually on a show with me. He is actually in the Marines, and he fought in Afghanistan. So if you want to get another person from a view with that, you can bring him up. I think he may have a link.
Yeah, that's fine. So I asked you guys a question about, I think you guys got off track with it, about how all the other countries, such as Bahrain, Egypt, Iraq, Israel's already involved, but Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Oman, Qatar, the Saudis, even now I've seen Pakistan, pretty much that entire region is going to get involved with this new conflict. So what do you think that is going to lead? Because I know we said, y'all said a month, or he said a month, but I kind of got lost with y'all's debate because it kind of got
no problem. What it will lead to is going to lead to oil inflation.
What is going to come about that? Like, is that gonna create a? Well, first of all, let's talk about this too, because some people like to say, I looked at a short my editor put up. I guess he put it on the wrong channel. He's supposed to put my political shorts on the other channel, but he put it on this channel. So again, we got a bunch of Black Americans defending a country that used to chop their dicks off just not that long ago, probably less than 100 years ago. They're defending that country, and they're telling me that it's basically just that the Iranians are not free. But let me ask you, why would all these other countries get involved? And we can say that it's financial interest, but why are they fighting on the side of Israel?
Because you always go to where your bread is buttered.
Okay.
Example, and I tell people this: you out of town and somebody fighting me, and I'm with a whole bunch of friends. If my friends don't jump in, I'm going after them next. So that's what America says. We put rules and stipulations up to say, if you are not going to help us out, we just think, and maybe this gentleman doesn't know, we are really not friends with anybody. United States is the worst kind of friend to be with. Example, we have bases that we use all over. And so because of that, we tell those people, you either with us, even if those countries don't agree with us. Britain does not agree with anything we're doing, but they know they have to back us because we are the big dogs. So those countries like Dubai, all those countries you mentioned, they feel that, I'm going to go with the most powerful person on the team, whether it's right or whether it's wrong.
Do you believe everything you're saying? I'm just wondering. You believe that actually?
We was friends with
Iran bombed Dubai
Qatar?
for no reason.
Friends with Qatar, and we bombed Qatar.
Iran just bombed all of these people that you just mentioned. What are you talking about?
Prior to that, hold up. Let's go back. You don't know history. Prior to that,
I don't know history.
Prior to that, Qatar, I'm sure it was Qatar was a place that they would negotiate. So they went to negotiate in Qatar. And you know what happened when they was negotiating during the negotiation? Israel bombed them and killed the leader.
He asked about why these people are with us with Iran. These people are with us with Iran because Iran bombed them.
No, Iran, because
you saying all of these words, but it's very, very simple. You saying
Iran,
all these words real
Iran
slow.
bombed them because those people were allowing
it's very simple.
to use their airspace. So if you're allowing someone to use their airspace, you're with them.
Do you believe this? Is that something you believe?
Do you know how the countries are set up? How does
I'm just asking, like, how do you believe this? Like, you watching CNN too much. Okay, they bombed. So is it equal as far as people flying over your country is that equal to you bombing their apartment buildings? Is that what you're
Because you're
saying?
giving them your airspace. Other countries say you can't use our. I tell you what, if they wanted to fly over Russia, they wouldn't happen. If they wanted to fly over China, it wouldn't happen because China would say you can't use our airspace because we don't condone this. So if you are
I
allowing those to
agree.
use
I
your
agree with the
airspace,
premise of your argument. What I'm
so if they are
saying is
allowing them to
they
use
don't
your air,
equal. They don't equal.
they
You
don't equal.
bombing my friend is stationed in Bahrain, and they bombed the apartment building next to her. That's not equal to you allowing someone to use your airspace. That's not equal. That's what I'm
If I,
saying.
why isn't it equal?
I agree that it's wrong, but it's not equal. You're killing innocent people for what reason?
Who's innocent? Hold up. So it's hold up. Am I supposed to believe you? I don't know. Am I supposed to believe you? Because who told you that news? If I tell you 100,
Uh,
and this is what happens. If I tell you 160 girls died in a bombing, you say that that's incorrect. But you tell me that somebody bombed over there, and that is correct. So what news am I supposed to believe?
all news outlets are reporting
Brother, you
that
a
they
PhD, but
actually
your
bombed
sound is
Israel.
jacked up. You got to invest a little bit more into the sound equipment there. I
And
can't.
what sound? I'm out. I have a YouTube channel though, but I'm
I know,
out.
but I'm saying
I'm
you
not.
breaking up, so I could hear nothing you said.
What does me being a PhD have to do with it? Why I don't understand why you keep trying to attack me like my person.
You
I
brought up that
mean,
you're a
what I'm
PhD.
saying
So if you're
is
bringing up you're a PhD, you're trying to
no.
say
I
you're
told you my
intelligent.
credentials because you were insulting my intelligence. And you were insulting
I'll
my
let the
character, so
chat
I brought up
insult your
my
intelligence.
credentials.
I won't insult it.
Let me intervene really quick. We got another super chat from Leaf Shinobi. He says, "Red shirt spitting facts. This country has spent trillions and cucked itself for Israel, and this time China is growing in power. Once the United States is depleted, Israel will kick us to the curb."
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll have to see about that one. I don't really have a response to that last sentence. Salute Austin and the panel. Thank you for the super chats, both of you. We're bringing up some more people on the panel right now. So, what do we actually know since you brought up the apartment buildings being blown up by the drones by Iran? Also, I want to come across. I came across something. Sorry, I got a little bit of sleep. I came across somebody that I met that is from Iran that posted a video where even though that Iran is currently still getting bombed massively right now, the police are still creating checkpoints and shooting people the same way they were doing during the protest.
I know. This brother, hold up. This and the brother who is in the yellow, he's stating how Iran is being repressive to its own people. But he didn't say anything about Israel being repressive to the Palestinians. He talked about the innocent neighbor that got killed, but he never brought up the innocent people that got killed in Palestine. Brother, are you a op?
Possibly, I don't know if I'm out or not. But
Or
hey,
do you care more
it
about
was
your
nice to meet you though.
neighbor in there than the other Palestinian people? See, if you're a person that care about all
Mhm.
people, all death is bad. And you would say, man, all the death is bad.
No, yeah, I agree. But it was nice meeting you and everything. Appreciate you for bringing me
Brother,
up,
don't leave,
Austin. I got a
man.
YouTube
Come on,
channel.
stay on with us, brother.
If you want to check me out, JWSBA or Instagram or whatever, we can argue later.
All right.
I have a few questions to ask you though, because
Yeah, go ahead. I got y'all got. Come on, what's up?
okay, so you're saying you're implying that Iran had nuclear weapons, right? So what was the point of Operation Midnight Hammer? I thought we obliterated them last summer.
What was the point
That's
of the
what Trump.
operation?
You remember when we
Yeah,
bombed?
I wasn't a fighter pilot. I worked on weaponry. So what I
No,
will say is,
no. I don't think you're hearing me. Do you remember Operation Midnight Hammer that we
I
had
know exactly what
last
you're
summer?
talking about. I know exactly what you're
Yes.
talking about.
So Trump
So
said that we bombed.
after that, there was more threats toward the United States, weren't there?
How? If Trump said we obliterated them last summer, how come they're again at 95%? How is that possible?
I don't know. You had to ask Trump.
No, you're not understanding what. See, this is what I'm saying. You're kind of being a little bit
He's
coy.
being disingenuous at best.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you're being very disingenuous.
I mean,
If we bombed them
Mhm.
over the summer, last summer,
Yeah.
how are they now again at 90? Trump said we
I never said
obliterated.
they were at 90. I never said they were at 90-something percent.
No, but
So
that's
I'm
what
not being
Netanyahu has been
disingenuous.
saying. That's what I forgot your name again.
I don't agree with Netanyahu. I never said that either. Did you just start watching me? I
No,
never
but
said I agree with anybody.
you did. You agree with Netanyahu?
No, it was the bald head, light skinned man that said that I agree with these people. I never said that.
But
He
you
was
said
rage baiting.
no. But you just said that Netanyahu they're our ally. You also said that. You did say
What?
that. You said
I never
Israel
said
is-
nothing about Netanyahu. The bald head, light skinned man that was trying to rage bait, talking about my personal character. He was saying that I said this
Then
stuff.
where
I
did
never
you get
said
your
any of this stuff.
information? Then hold up. Let me ask this. Where did you get your information that Iran was close to a nuclear weapon?
From them. That's what they continuously said over
Who
and
is
over again.
them?
The regime.
Iran never said that. They said that we aren't even
There
building
was
nuclear weapons.
evidence.
We only having
There was
nuclear
evidence.
energy.
There was
But-
also evidence.
and that's my point. How is it that you have evidence that they have nuclear weapons when Trump said
This is the
we
problem
are-
with y'all.
No.
This is the problem with y'all.
Let me
Let me tell
finish.
y'all the problem with y'all. Let me
No,
tell you the problem with y'all.
let me finish because I
Y'all
feel
want to
like
live in the echo chamber.
how we being in the echo chamber. You don't know what I know.
Am I
If we was in the echo chamber, we would be going with
Y'all want
Trump.
to live in the echo
Wouldn't
chamber.
we?
See, this is
Nah,
what I'm saying.
hell nah.
Honestly, this is what I hate when black men don't do this. You don't want to concede a point and when you're wrong. You said that they have nuclear
Mhm.
weapons. Did you or did you not say that?
If I said that, I was wrong, and I apologize.
Okay, I appreciate you for saying that because that's what Fearless is saying, and I'm backing up Fearless
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm providing the point of Operation Midnight Hammer. We had the operation,
Okay.
the military.
I didn't
campaign.
realize that I said that, so I apologize if I said that.
Okay, that's what we're pointing at, and that's what Fearless is getting at. Because
Okay.
multiple times Netanyahu said this during the Clinton administration. He said it during the Obama administration that we're at
Mhm.
that Iran is at 95%. Iran is at 95%. They were never at 95%. Even the Khomeini had said that they do not want to establish a nuclear program. That was
Yeah.
one of the reasons why Trump went to them last year, right?
Mhm.
He went to them prior to them bombing Iran, and as soon as they started having meetings with each other, Israel bombed them and Israel bombed Qatar. Now,
Okay.
your point was that they bomb our allies and whatnot. Israel bombs whoever they want to bomb, right? They bomb Qatar. We have military bases in Qatar. Why is
Yeah.
Israel bombing them? Israel gets to do whatever they want to. And I don't understand. I don't know if you understand.
I wasn't
I'm not-
arguing about Israel.
I just want people to be informed of how Israel rolls. Israel doesn't answer to nobody. We answer to them, to be honest with you. Because they stole our I don't know if you know Ghislaine Maxwell, who's with Epstein. Her father, along with this other guy, they
He
sold.
just got out of jail. He served 30 years, and as
What's
soon
his
as he
name?
get off the
Pollard,
plane,
Jonathan Pollard, right?
yeah, he went to jail
Yeah,
for
Jonathan Pollard
stealing
was
our
former,
nuclear
Navy contractor.
secrets
Yes.
and then selling them to.
He sold our Navy secrets to the Soviet Union, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was him or Maxwell, right? They
No, he
sold
it to Israel.
to Israel. One of them sold out our secrets to the Soviet. Yeah, we still mess with them. So that goes to show you what Israel is to us. We are their puppets, right? And my other thing to you, you made the point. I just want to say this last thing. I'm not going to take over the conversation, but you made this point that Maduro. The reason why we went to Venezuela is because they have drugs. Let's say
That's not the point that I made. That's
No,
the point
you
that
said
the
that.
brother.
You said that. You
You
did
said
say
it.
that. You did say that.
I asked you
I said that.
specifically. Hold up, no, don't do that. Because when we went there, I
We
said
can run a
you never
recording back.
answered my question. And you said, "What is the question?"
Okay.
I said, "Why did we go to Venezuela?" And you said, "For the drugs." Don't PhD, baby.
No, I did not.
You did.
Actually.
Everybody in the chat, did he or did he not say the reason why we went to
I don't
Venezuela?
give a fuck about no chat.
See this now you're being the one and being emotional because we're holding you to what you said as a man in
Not
the
being
chat.
emotional.
Did he
And
or
when
did
you
he?
said drugs, hold up. I'll reiterate what I said. You said drugs, and I said, "Sir, how is it possible that a boat can travel all the way to the United States on a fishing boat? And you said, oh, because they're going from one place to another place to another place. That's how the drugs came up. You said that they were there for drugs.
So where do they go after they get to Mexico? Do they stay in Mexico?
Those drugs usually go to Europe.
Those drugs go to Europe. Come on now.
The reason why
so you tracking drugs now? You tracking drugs now? So hold on. You tracking drugs?
Austin Holland.
Tracking bombs?
Yeah.
See, now,
you know everything.
Hold up.
You know everything, don't you?
Wait. Go ahead.
I would like you to just do a Google, and I want you to Google how much drugs from Venezuela get to the United States.
Not even 5%.
I won't do it. I'll let somebody else do it.
Not even 5%.
I want y'all to Google me. All right,
I was always going to finish my point. I promise I'm almost done.
Hold on. Azrael, hold on. Let me say this real quick. Okay, as somebody that's in the Marine Corps, been in the Gulf War, just because he had top secret clearance as a air ordnance man did not give him access to strategic planning when it came to top secret clearance and how processes moved around and what pieces we were using on the board in order to achieve a mission. Because you have air ordnance, you have top secret clearance for that weaponry. That's it. You don't have strategic clearance to watch every piece on the board. So the fact that he postured himself as somebody that was strategically educated on warfare made him disingenuous from the jump. I don't care if he has a PhD or not.
Hey, Fearless, can you ask me that question about Venezuela and I can give you the correct answer?
Yes. What percentage, because the gentleman said we went there because of the drugs. And my question is, what percentage of the drugs from Venezuela got to the United States?
0, because we didn't go there for the drugs. We went there for the oil.
Oh, I know. No, I know we went there.
Let me break it down. Let me break it down even further for you. Venezuela was giving oil to China. This oil was very thick oil. It can't really go through the pipes. So why are we boom booming Iran? Because they have the oil that mixes in with the oil from Venezuela so it can get through the pipes. But guess who oil is up in Iran? China. So all this oil that we're talking about, it's China's oil.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped off by accident. My computer's acting up a little bit. I wanted to say this. My point, I don't know if Jay is still on here, but the point that I was trying to make, right? And this is no offense to him, but it's very stupid. And I need brothers to understand more about geopolitics, because then you sounding crazy talking about Israel as though they're like the best thing since sliced bread and that they're just good people wanting a land that was promised to them 2,000 years ago, which is bunk, right? If we're gonna go according to that point of let's say he was saying is true about us going into Venezuela with Maduro. Oh, it's about the drugs. If that was the case, right? How come Trump pardoned the president of Honduras, who was
had tons.
Teacher? Yes,
but let me go back to what I was. This was the point that I was making. The point that I was making was, now I believe you, sir, when you said it was about the oil. I've already done a show stating it was about the oil. The original point was, we cannot believe what Iran says. That's what he says. And I said, okay, who can we believe? Can we believe the United States? And he said, yes. Then I said, if we believe the United States, why did we go into Venezuela? And he said, for the drugs. And I said, that's why I can't believe you, because I know we didn't go in there for the drugs. We went there for the oil. So that lets me know that what the United States president told me was a lie. So you want me to believe the United States president telling me a lie, but you don't want me to believe when Iran says something that they are telling a lie. You don't want me to believe, you want me to believe Israel when they say, oh, we didn't kill that many people, or we're not bombing innocent people. So his point was all messed up, because it's like, believe these people even though they're lying to me, but don't believe these people because they could be lying to me.
I mean, I don't. If he doesn't understand why, if that was the case, right? Innocent people. Israel bombed Beirut. I remember when that happened last year, when they blew. Mm-hmm. They had those bombs from like years ago. They planted them all over Mossad and whatnot. Their intelligence agencies, they bombed them. They had bombs set through pagers in Beirut from years ago. And on top of that, last year Israel bombed. Remember when Trump was cursing out on Air Force One? He's like, I don't know what the F Israel's doing, because they went and bombed Qatar. When Qatar, we have military bases on Qatar.
And
right?
it was a ceasefire in a negotiation that they were in the middle of.
Exactly. If you can't tell me that you're at 95% since Clinton was in office. Like, get the hell out of here, man. Oh, they're at 95%. Netanyahu has been saying this multiple times. He was supposed to be out of office, and actually he was supposed to be on trial by Israel for like the last 10 years. It was just because of what happened during October, because of the whole thing with Hamas, that he kind of like took over emergency powers. He was supposed to have been out of office. I don't understand how people can't see the correlation between the fact that Israel bribes or blackmails our country. 95% of the country is owned by AIPAC in terms of our legislators, right? And they either buy out both parties, or they'll blackmail you. Why do you think the only two people that are not owned by Israel, the ones that want to open up the Epstein files, which is Massey and Ro Khanna? Everybody else is hesitant because they're owned and controlled and payrolled by Israel.
Ezra, let me read these super chats and then read the next question so we can continue. Let's see. Yellow shirt, go hit the gym, take a shower, and get a clue. Is Israel smoking 70,000 people in Ghana equal, or I guess the equivalent? Israel wants control over the Middle East. I would agree they do want control. He says, bro in the yellow shirt needs to stop being so condescending and listen to. Operation Hammer, the classic B2 in action. Fortunate to be a software engineer on the B2 in Palmdale. The next generation is called B21. And then we got a $10 super chat from Oakman. And then AD says, I can't get over bro saying we went to war over in Iraq since. Sorry, I can't believe him saying that we went to Iraq to war. Okay, we went to Iraq over 9/11. Okay, yeah. Once he said that there's no conversation to be had. Yeah, we didn't go to war in Iraq over 9/11. That was the war in Iraq started almost 10 years before that, right? So that is true.
Some of them in Afghanistan.
Huh? Yeah, Afghanistan. Yeah. The Desert Storm. When did Desert Storm start? It wasn't 2001. I know that.
The original Desert Storm started in 1990. I was there.
Yeah.
1990.
So, let's see my next question.
One before you answer that, you were saying it doesn't affect you. You're in Sri Lanka. I beg to differ, because most of the flights that come from the United States, don't they land like in Dubai and in the Middle East and places like that?
Yeah, but that doesn't affect me right now. If they land,
anybody traveling, anybody goes there and he connects, is going to do a fuel surge. All of that. Once the price of oil starts going up, it doesn't just.
And it already went up 10% already.
Yeah.
Well, my oil prices.
Here's the thing: in the two places that have been attacked by the U.S., whether it be Iran or Venezuela, with the oil, China already has over 1 billion barrels of oil in storage. They barely consume 5 million a year. Whatever attacks happen will never affect China when it comes to their oil production and what they use currently.
Yeah, well,
so that's a non-factor when this is the discussion as far as why they did certain things. It's not about the oil.
Well, Fearless, with what you were saying, yeah, the entire globe is affected. Kenya, Brazil, everybody's affected by the price of oil going up in that region, or from this conflict in that region. But I'm referring to when people were saying like, "Hey, Austin, are you safe? Are you safe?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm 7 hours away from Iran, like by plane. I don't think they have any.
Here's what happens: you get a lot of destabilization. Isn't there a war going on on the border with India and Palestine?
It's Pakistan and
Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Pakistan and Afghanistan is at war. I don't know what for, but
So,
they've been at war since a couple weeks before this event happened.
so all those little skirmishes, when people say, well, I can start doing that, it starts to affect, other places.
I can see that.
Israel wants to destroy all of the Middle East.
They just want they want the Zionist influence. That's why they took out Syria. That's why Egypt was able to be sacked. That's why you have Iraq, right? All these places. The main goal is to destabilize all the other countries so they have dominance. If people don't know, South Lebanon is actually taken over by Israel right now.
Mm-hmm. That's how Hezbollah got created.
Let me say this, and we're about to have a show on this too, was this command and control. There's certain things the American military should be getting involved in, certain things that are not. Right now, I'm calling a bunch of our generals pussies because they're not keeping the president honest on how he utilizes military weaponry in his forces right now. He is basically, like you said, being the lapdog for Israel, okay, and fighting their wars for him. Back in the original Gulf War, we had a whole coalition built of all Arab nations, okay? What did Saddam do but volley over some Scud missiles into Israel to try to provoke them into getting into the war? And U.S. had to literally say, no, stand down. We'll get revenge for you. If you jump in, you're going to break up our coalition. So Iran is in turn doing the same thing. He's bombing every country around them to get them upset at the United States, but it's backfiring. And now those nations are now looking at Iran like, yo, we had nothing to do with it. Matter of fact, we were stopping the U.S. from flying through our airspace to bomb you. But now, since you want to drop bombs on us, we're going to in turn go ahead and back up whatever happens to you.
You know, I slightly disagree because when they recently bombed Dubai and a couple other places. I've been all over the place with certain things. It's not coming to mind, but they bombed multiple places that had U.S. military bases. What Iran is doing is playing a war of attrition. In other words, what's going to happen at the end of result of this war, a lot of the Middle Eastern countries are going to be like, okay, you were supposed to, they're going to say, the reason why you were here, America, was to protect the interests of the country so that there will be no one would politically overthrow us, or we wouldn't be subject to any kind of military attacks, right? Now it's like if you pay the mob to protect you, but then another gang, right, comes and robs your store. It's like, okay, what am I paying you for? Right. So what they're eventually gonna do is the Saudis have no allegiance to nobody, right? They're going to, if this keeps up, they'll just eventually, when it's all said and done, they'll either go to Russia or they'll go to either China for protection. Because think about it in this way, if I was the Saudis, I would say to myself, China is not an antagonistic as America, and they do better business with us. Why shouldn't I should tie my allegiance with them? That's why, if you notice, we had an agreement with them about the petrodollar, and since the Nixon era, and now they haven't renewed that contract with us, right? Mm-hmm. So they understand. Okay, America is probably losing its hegemony, as you know. I know I butchered the name, but long story short, they're saying America doesn't have as much influence as it did 20, 30 years ago, right?
Iran has more. What do you mean? It's at a point now that Donald Trump is weighing around the heavy hammer, saying, "I'm going to drop the hammer on anybody I want to," and that's what I'm saying. With the American military not stopping him, he looks like the bully globally.
He doesn't look like the bully. He is the bully. He's recognized as the bully.
The reason why is because, when we're talking about, for example, we're talking about regime change. And it's funny, shout out to Myron, shout out to Professor Jing, shout out to Jeffrey Sachs. Like, I watch a lot of this stuff, right? They've all mentioned that in order for you to have a regime change, it can't be just by airstrikes. You're going to have to put foots on the ground. This is not going to be great for America politically, because people are going to be like, we're in a never ending war, right?
Exactly.
And it's gonna be like Afghanistan. Look what happened to Afghanistan. We were there. We were in Afghanistan before I was
It's
in high
going to be
school.
worse in Afghanistan.
Yes, we've been in war in Afghanistan since before I was in high school, and I'm almost 30, right? What happened?
And I can tell you right now, no military person, 95% of the people in this room that are ex-military are going to tell you nobody's condoning this that actually have fought in any kind of war. Matter of fact, if you were prior military, I'm sure Passport Blueprint and James sitting on this panel all say this is unnecessary and it puts us as risk as far as our American children. You get what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we are all in agreement. This should not be, but here's the fact check here. The checks and balances is not only congressional approval, but the actual American military, the generals have the right to question lawful orders. That currently was not approved by Congress. It should have never have happened with American armaments at all. Now, as a Marine, we can go anywhere in the world for 29 days with only the president's approval. You know what happens on the 30th day? We have to fucking pull out for at least 1 or 2 days, and then we can go back in. Other than that, it's an act of war by the American Marine Corps for being in certain countries, and we do it a lot. Okay, we go in and start either, but we have to pull out. But here, that's just the Marine Corps. You can't just use armaments and weaponry of any kind without congressional approval, and that has not been done. And even when it was put to a vote, it did not pass; it tied. So he initiated regardless.
I think he didn't. I just want to say one thing. He didn't go through the proper channels, and he didn't get proper or strategic intelligence. Because there's a lot of things that happen before we even go into reconnaissance, and that's approval. So why would you go into reconnaissance and try to figure out how are we going to do strategic warfare if we don't even know what's going to be approved? Once we figure out what's going to be approved, then we start figuring out how to do what we need to do. And when we start figuring out how to do what we need to do, that's always limited. And I mean unbelievably limited, what we can do. He went through all that. So right now, our most effective and most advanced warfare to win a war with anybody, they don't even know how to use it. They don't even know what's going to be approved. They don't even know what's going on. They're just fighting. In that kind of warfare, a lot of innocent, a lot of really good soldiers, a lot of really good strategic battlefield tactics. In other words, what countries and what positions we can keep and maintaining ourselves. We're constantly putting ourselves 24/7 every day around the clock. The military is constantly putting ourselves in position, getting ready for all-out war anytime, any second. Right now, that's been diminished because we don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're going to be. And I'm telling you right now, if a 4-star general right now was sitting over here of any branch in any position who sits right next to the president was sitting right here, many of the questions, even at our level, we would ask them. I guarantee you hear a whole lot of, we don't know. We don't know. We don't have information. We don't have the intelligence. We don't have anything. That's what you'll get. And when you hear a 4-star general at any level saying that, what he's really saying a lot of Americans will be dead. A lot of Americans will be dead. And all that is going to be on Trump. Now, in that same sense, you're going to have countries who are constantly, how we're keeping ourselves, taxing ourselves for any kind of warfare. You have also countries that are doing the exact opposite, constantly trying to put themselves in a position to hurt the United States for all kinds of interests. There are multi-billionaires that go to other countries saying, if you do this right here, we'll be able to do this to make a bunch of money. And what they're asking them to do is some of the most vile kind of warfare, the vile kind of murders. And to top it all off, a lot of those billionaires are Americans. And a lot of the billionaires who put money in our government's pockets are not Americans.
James, if you think of this is what I tried to say in the beginning.
Fearless, after you go, let me after this one, let me follow up with a question. Fearless, go ahead.
All right. We think we do things in a vacuum. The reason I was talking about the coup that happened in Iran, when they say death to America, it's because we had a coup and we installed the Shah for our own benefit. People around the world just don't hate us. They hate us for what we do. We did this. We
sabotage other people's democracies and countries.
Somebody
they're sitting under a government we created.
Yes. Somebody in the chat said that Hezbollah and Hamas are terrorist groups. if you know how they started, just like the Mossad, or not the Mossad, the help me out, Ronan. They was before the Taliban in Afghanistan.
the
Mahdi.
Egyptian
Oh, I think
Brotherhood.
Shit.
Yeah, they always start. We call people terrorists who fight against us. We call the Indians, the Native Americans, savages because we went in their country and did something. The same with Hamas, the same with Hezbollah, the same with the Houthis. We do this to people, and when they decide they want to fight back, then we say, "You see what they did? See how they terrorists they are? We kill 1,000 of them. When they kill one of theirs, they're the terrorist."
We have proof, and they have found out that we were calling groups of people terrorists before we created the Taliban.
Let me follow up really quick, James. So one super chat says, "My father is pro-Iran. I haven't seen him since I was 13. He was testing me, and now I'm self-sufficient. I plan to run away when my kids turn 13 too." Christopher says, "I think Iran is trying to play the long game with this conflict." And let me just elaborate on that. Also, if you guys are enjoying the show, send a $1 cash app to $ Austin Holloman so we can keep the show going every single day. If leadership instability continues in Tehran, what do you guys think are the realistic political outcomes as far as possibly regime change, fragmentation, military control such as an occupation, or do you think it's just going to be prolonged chaos?
In my opinion, anytime there's a vacuum, you always have to beware as to who comes up next. You never know who's going to take that power. We in the United States thinks this is going to be someone on our end. That doesn't necessarily how it's going to be. The same thing that happened in Afghanistan. That's how the Taliban came up and others came up. I don't think that. I think our attention span in the United States is it got to be over in a day. It got to be over in a month. When it starts going on for years, we just don't have that that attention.
Well, we're not set up or positioned right now to support something that long. Correct. That was the whole edict behind the Marine Corps. We can go anywhere for 30 days self-supported. Once you start extending past that 30-day mark, now you're looking at logistics. How are you getting things from here to what place to the other place? How are you reinforcing this? Because now, even if we're in, we got to stabilize and hold it. Somebody just said there's
stabilized by the people.
Right. There's 80 million people in Iran. You're not going to get away with stabilizing a small force in that kind of environment.
Yeah. I was going to say, actually, slight correction. I believe they say it's about 90 million too. You know, but
even so, yeah.
Yeah. I think people, you know, we talk about, I think it's the Shia Muslim, because that's what the Ayatollah was, which is a minor, small group of Muslims. However, these people are, you know, we call them what they are, you know, religious extremists or zealots. These are a group of people that are not, they're galvanized behind the Ayatollah. They believe he's one of the prophets sent by the gods, right? Or by Muhammad. So you taking him out is only going to galvanize people to fight against America. So you're in a situation similar, almost very similar to Vietnam, where it's like you're going to have to leave because you're not going to be able to. 90 million people are not going to just allow America just going to choose, because you have the Shah's grandson that lives in quote unquote, he lives in Maryland, very close to the CIA base, what have you, right? They're trying to implement him into the new government as the puppet for America and Israel. The Iranians are not going to allow you to do that. You're going to have to put boots on the ground in order to create a regime change, and that's going to take forever. And it's eventually going to resort back to what happened when Biden had to pull out of Afghanistan and the Taliban took over again. You can't. There's no permanent regime change when it comes to the Middle East countries. Because
nor can we support it as a military, because we've had such a drawdown on reenlistment and everything else. We can't support multiple wars in multiple countries. We're still trying to stabilize Venezuela and whatever that's going to be. You're over here poking at Iran and other places too. There's more than one thing going on all at the same time. Our military is not as big as it used to be.
Also, I'm glad you pointed that out too. As you guys are military, what's one of the I'm not military, but one of the things I always heard is that you never fight a war on multiple fronts. We're still dealing with Ukraine and Russia, so we're spreading ourselves thin.
We don't fight a war on multiple fronts, but we prepare to fight wars on multiple fronts because we're the United States.
Right.
It's part of our. It's war tactics. I mean,
Austin, the image I sent you was the image of the next up and coming leadership, and that's what they were getting ready to vote on until the area was bombed, where they were supposed to be having this super secret meeting in this bunker. So obviously, we do have intel, meaning Navy SEALs or somebody there doing ops right now. But at the end of the day, they still need to pick a leader.
So they're all dead in this photo.
Not all of them, but these are the ones that are in contingent for leadership.
Because I know the one in the bottom left is dead.
No, there are no.
No, they bombed one of them recently again. The one that was supposed to start.
Yeah, him in the bottom left.
Yeah.
Well, the one to the top left is the one that's favorited, I thought. The one on the top left. Because the one in the center, obviously, top center is the one that died. And then you're saying the bottom right is dead or the bottom left is dead now?
Bottom left.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I believe
Definitely don't have. We don't have. I don't think we're sending out any Navy SEALs. Because of what Navy SEALs do. But we definitely have some Army Rangers, Marines out there. But they're not nowhere near Iran right now. We don't have any boots on ground anywhere.
So my question is, let's take Israel out of it. Why do you think we bombed Iran? What benefit is it to us? I guess it would be.
As Americans, none, but it's for Israel.
None.
Yeah, this is all about Israel, the greater Israel.
It has nothing to do with America.
0 cents for us to bomb Iran. Absolutely none. It's way into the negative and on a massive level.
Exactly.
Iran was working with us. They want to cooperate with us because it's good for their economy. It's good for it's all around good for Iran to have intelligent talks with us. You know, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Iran didn't want to go to war with anybody. They want to bomb Israel, that's for sure. But as far as America, no. But if Iran manages, I mean, the only good thing, and I'm just going to say it, that can come out of this is Israel gets destroyed. Israel getting destroyed, it'd be a heavy hand lifted off the United States. We can heal a lot. We could handle a lot of problems if Israel goes down. Israel has to go. Everything about Israel has to go. If you guys only knew how much of the United States in all aspects, even our religion, is affected by Israel and handcrafted by Israel. You think that your own thoughts. You think that it's it's Israel.
And here's why it's really counterproductive. Israel doesn't have a lot of other countries or citizenship from outside nations. We have over 400 to 620,000 Iranians here. At one point, we thought they might have been cells operating independently. So it's very counterproductive for us to do anything against Iran because you don't know what's going on. We're more at risk than Israel at this point, besides for them getting directly bombed by other countries. You know, as far as them bringing war to our shores, that's the worst thing possible for an American.
We're calling it Operation Epic Fury. Operation Epic Fury.
Donald Trump's all about
I know
sensationalism.
he did, but I mean, what do you think a historian is going to say? I mean, think about a really good historian. How are they going to say that when all this is over, and I pray to God it's over soon? And how are they going to present to a classroom of potential scholars Operation Epic Fury? How are they going to try to explain that title? Because a title alone, what you call something, has a library of
Hola, Epic Fury
I mean-
sound like a rapper name. Like my name is DJ Epic Fury. You know? Sound like
What up, man?
MC Epic Fury.
Up in the house, baby. We about to hit you out with the air bombs. You know what I'm saying, man?
Right,
Sorry.
right.
Let me ask you another question too, since you brought this up, Fearless, about how you think the global economy is about to be affected in the next week by this situation in Iran.
That's complicated.
Oil going to go up, inflation going to go up, the housing market. If we were in the United States, we were in the process of saying, hey, we're going to try to lower mortgage rates. But if inflation goes up, we can't lower mortgage rates. So that means that's going to be pushed up again. So no one's going to buy housing. I guess if you got a 401k, you might want to get out of some things, except maybe the defense market and energy stocks. That'll probably help you out. Everything else, if transportation and there's a disruption, that means everything goes up. Consumer, tech, all of those things starts to raise up.
Right. And one of the main reasons why all goods coming from all, countries is going to go up is because when you're fighting a war like this, they can't just use their regular routes. And we have to pay them on top of that because of the dangers that we created. So even if they have, price gougers is going to also come in and make these even difficult on top of that, even when they get to the United States. So we're going to have to pay a lot on a lot of different fronts. I mean, the war and the economy used to kind of work with each other, but because of the way we do business these days, at the same time, what do you think China's doing right now? They're going around, they're talking business. They're on the phone talking business. They don't give a crap about this war. They don't have to do nothing. All they have to do is just say, stay away from our routes, stay away from our waters.
And to go to your point, James, the reason war used to help us out is because we were manufacturing stuff.
That's right.
So when there was war, there was more work here because we're manufacturing. Now we're consumers.
That's
we
right.
Buy.
And who's all the bombs that are being built right now? Who makes them?
China. I mean, even think about it now. We're almost running out of interceptors.
Not as it's Russia.
Oh yes, yeah.
Russia and Israel, they love this. This is their dream come true. This is what they wanted. More than anything, what Russia wants is the destabilization of the international relationships that help the United States, the UN. He wants that destroyed. Okay, Israel doesn't really want the UN destroyed. They just don't really care because, as far as they're concerned, as long as we got the United States in our pocket and England and Germany, we don't have to worry about nothing. Because even without the UN, there's a bunch of countries that are powerful that's going to help us anyway. As the UN doesn't hold them all. The UN it's not exactly what a lot of people think. They think the UN just creates a bigger country and that we're all part of the same system. It's not exactly like that. The UN, how it operates, is quite a lot more complicated than that.
We got a couple cash apps. Kevin says he's asking about what wartime investment opportunities are there.
I told you, oil, Lockheed Martin, Indie Defense.
Yeah,
you got to invest in it.
Northrop Grumman. What's the other one? Lockheed. What's the one that starts with a Ray? I forgot what it's called.
Raytheon.
Yeah, Raytheon.
Addie Wesley says, I like your geopolitics, bro. The $20 cash app. Thank you very much. As I said before, if you guys are enjoying the show, send $1 cash app to $ Austin Holloman. If you have a question you'd like to be read, send a super chat. So most importantly, since I travel, there's a lot of people that travel. I'd like to tie in geopolitics with traveling. How would you say, and you kind of touched on this earlier too, Frizz, we got a lot of my questions out of the way at the very beginning. But people that are traveling or living overseas, especially in Europe, Asia, Africa, and especially the Gulf region, I mean, they can't travel at all, so they're irrelevant right now. How do you think this is going to affect flight routes, embassy alerts, visa processing, insurance coverage. Do you think that some visas could even be denied now for Americans just because all this is going on?
Yeah, which is crazy because, for instance, maybe a visa from Iran. We go over there, we destroy the country. The people need to go somewhere, and we say, "Well, you can't come here," so we deny them because we don't want to bring anyone here. We deny them entry into the United States because we don't want them here. The flight, like I said before, if I was flying and you don't know what's going on in Dubai, and that's a medium place to fly into, you're a commercial airline, you don't know what drone they're going to send that way, because in any aspect like this, all you have to do is just bomb one hotel building, bomb one flight, bomb one of anything, and nobody wants to fly. And that's how they want it. That's why when you say they want to disrupt Iran, want to disrupt everything, you don't have to kill everybody. You just got to do a few terror. That's what happened in Mexico. When they took out the leader, they said, well, we're just going to bomb some stores. We're going to come into the airport. You don't have to kill innocent people. You just have them so scared that the airport shuts down. You shut down the economy.
Yeah, one thing about Mexico is when you killed that leader, you cut off their access to that money. He's paying all of them. He's paying a lot of them. Well, and they don't have access to that money.
And I'm glad somebody mentioned in the chat the Strait of Hormuz is pronounced Hormuz, I believe. But to Fearless point, I just read an article earlier today about how Spain we requested to use their military bases, right, or to use their area, whatever the military area, for air support, and they refused. And Trump said that he's probably going to tariff them to hell, to sky high, right? Unfortunately, that pisses me off because Spain had, as a traveler, Spain has a great deal for visas where like you can stay there as an American for 5 years. So that could potentially be, they could by next year be like, okay, we're gonna can it with Americans, right? We know in Brazil, like if you're from any kind of Western country, you have to pay $80 to get that visa, right? To be able to enter in. Spain might just say, you know what, you guys want to tariff us? Bet we're gonna remove any kind of permit, because you have a visa with America where you can stay there for 5 years free, have no issues. That's lucrative, especially if you're trying to like stack your money up, do what we do in this play here in the area, economic arbitrage, try to gain our kind of a little liquidity about ourselves. That can affect us as well. Yeah, I mean,
well, just look at the passport right now. We dropped down to number 10,
which is crazy because we were at 8. But now we're at, you're right, we're at 10.
Yeah, we're at number 10 and we're still dropping. It's like 2018, we were at number 14 on the NA passport.
There's definitely going to be a lot of bridges. There are a lot of bridges going to have to be repaired when he steps out of office.
A lot.
Yeah, we got to
be real careful about who we letting in that office. Y'all, man, if you vote Republican, they don't have anybody. They have no. I mean, if they see Republicans, be like, well,
has anything?
Are you good with Trump? Or I mean, they're looking at that as the opposition of what they want the United States to be represented by. And the Democrats even though we have Democrats that I would not want in office, but right now it's going to have to be a Democrat if you want that international interest, because they're looking at it as Republican. Those are the bad guys. They're looking at that, the Republicans, as the regime we don't want.
I know you say that.
Unfortunately, either side has a person that's standing out as far as that next political leader in either party. Donald Trump don't want to bolster anybody. I said neither party has somebody that's standing in front, like, hey, this is the next guy we're all going to rally behind. Neither party, not even J.D. Vance, is being bolstered as Trump's replacement, because Trump is still dangle the fact that I want to be the first person that run for a third term or whatever. So that's always lingering in the background. So neither party right now, and you would think the Democrats at this point would try to bolster or rally around somebody as the next person and start promoting them for the next 3.5 years. But nobody
that's
has
what I was
stood up.
saying. But what I was talking about was international. Okay, our international across our borders, how they look at it. They look at the whole entire Republican Party as a MAGA regime. Okay, they don't care what you just talked about that. They don't care about that. They don't even know that. And if you tell them that, it's going to go in one ear, not the other. And I don't blame them. Right now, all countries are saying, hopefully Kamala Harris will run again. It doesn't matter what you feel about her or what you think she would and wouldn't do, or your political interests about her. That doesn't care. If she's
James,
the one that's going to be put up, you have to vote for her. You have to.
I want to agree with you, but here's why I can't agree with you. I think countries are just saying I'm done because it doesn't matter. Like, let's just take Iran. I do a deal with you, and then whoever comes in next, the deal is done. I make an agreement with the United States. We make a 10-year agreement, and then in 4 years, whatever we agree to is tore up by the next president. So I think they're just saying we don't even want to get involved because there's no stability. Whoever you bring in, 4 years later, 8 years later, it's going to just change. So I think they're just trying to find. Even we think about it, Canada. Canada's like, you know what? We can't deal with you.
They did
Greenland,
economic
we gotta go somewhere else.
But I believe.
One of the things you guys, when it comes to sitting down at the negotiation table, it's not just straightforward like that. Okay. What we got to do is get them out to the table. And what's going to happen is Iran is going to have demands. If you meet those demands, you can make a deal. That's the simplicity of it. Negotiations are always about my interest, your interest. Where can we compromise? All right. Donald Trump's too stupid to come to a compromise that's both economically and strategically of interest to both countries. That is a complicated. You have to get them with the big boys to do that. That's hard to do. And you have to be very smart, very cunning, and very knowledgeable about all aspects of the United States and foreign policy in order to do that correctly, which is exactly what Hillary Clinton was saying. She basically was pointing out, you can't just send anybody in there to negotiate anything, any kind of international policy, especially when you're talking about nuclear weapons and nuclear usage. Okay, you have to have a lot of intelligence that comes into play, and you got to sit down with a lot of intelligent people that we utilize. Even in the CIA, what they find out about that country before you even go there. They're like, before you go there, here's what we know. Okay, it's not straightforward like that. It never is. And with them, Obama was probably the best shot to do that. And that was also stated that what he negotiated in there was probably one of the best negotiations Iran had in a long time. And they have stated that. And they were good. And they watched who was coming in the White House. Biden, they were like, he's not Obama, but at least he's not going to ruin anything. When Trump came in, he made sure he ruined what Obama did without even thinking, just to say, this is what he did things because he felt butthurt. That's what he got in office. He's doing things to protect himself from the Epstein files and things because he's butthurt. Obama did that, kill it.
Also, another thing too, he is probably
not smart.
He's probably the most pro-Israel president of all time, and the reason being is because
Reagan was.
No, let me tell you why. I would say, if it wasn't for Adelson, Miriam Adelson, who is like the biggest Israel donor, right? If it wasn't for her, he would have never won it. He would have probably been somewhere in a jail somewhere, because she basically payrolled his whole election campaign. So he owes them, right? Between her and Netanyahu and Ralph. That's why you notice remember, TikTok was never an issue in his first term, even though the whole thing was, it's a threat to national security. As soon as the whole thing with Gaza happened, and we were able to see through independent journalism what was via TikTok, what was going on in Gaza, then the Zionists were like, okay, we got to get rid of this thing. Even Netanyahu asked a group of people, like, what's the biggest threat to Israel's sovereignty or security, right? And they gave random answers, and he was like, no, it's social media. As soon as Trump came into office, remember they had that like little 1 week ban of TikTok, right? And then what they did now, if you look at it, who owns TikTok right now? It's Ellison's son. Ellison is of a Jewish descent, right? So he owes them. So this is more of a Israeli Zionist agenda that's being casted out. He basically,
You know, it wasn't that long ago when some APAC, some individuals at APAC, I forgot the woman's name. She said the biggest threat to Israel was black people.
you know why they
I mean,
say
you
that?
guys, one of the things that you guys fought back, you look at it the most because you guys are so smart and knowledgeable. You look at the more logical and intellectual focus on what's going on. But then you got to step back and just look at the bottom things that people just kind of talk about. You don't think that's because it sounds so silly. And when you look at it, you realize that some of the most vile things that have been done politically and economically were done because of some of the dumbest, most ignorant bullshit you can possibly imagine. And Donald Trump is opening all that up and making everyone focus and realizing how dumb a lot of these political leaders and billionaires are. And Obama talked about it in his book when he was saying that, you know, I've sat down with some of these, you know, well-known political leaders around the world, and in our country, these multi-billionaires, practically trillionaires. And when I sit down and talk with them, I realize they're really not that smart. And he realized that, you know, he had to step it down a little bit because he didn't want to make them feel, you know, uncomfortable because he wanted to get information out of them. He wanted to learn something about them, why they're doing what they're doing, and to realize to step back and say, well, I'm thinking too complicated about what they're telling me because they're not coming from a very, you know, intellectual standpoint. You know, these guys are they're talking out of their butts.
Let me read this. Let me read this super chat really quick. So Ian says with $100 super chat, good to see you healthy, my good man, Austin. Here's my 2 cents. Trump initiated Iran to secure a third term via power legislation. Why? Because Israel's money says so, for the sake of fulfilling their agenda via the U.S. military. By the way, a lot of people don't know that the United States president can get an additional 2 years if there's a war declared. So if he goes to the 8th term and he declares war, he can do 10 years in total. Like he doesn't have to run for that.
What's important about that is this midterm election could stop.
There was somebody in the chat that said, United States is the greatest country in the world. Now, I know James is probably overseas. Ronan is Philippines. Austin is somewhere. I don't know if anyone else is overseas. How do y'all feel about that statement, living outside the United States or even in the United States, about that? Do you feel that way, still?
That what? Can you repeat?
Greatest in what respect? Yeah.
Well, I'm just reading what they said. They said the greatest country. I don't think they gave me a
I mean, I think it's all about perspective. I mean, from a young person, I'm closer to Austin's age, right? When you talk about America, I was thinking about it yet the last 2 days. The job market is trash. Housing market is trash. The dating market is trash. Healthcare system is you know, you could own a gun, but God forbid you break a bone in your pinky, you're gonna have to pay $5,000. But I mean, hey, as long as you can own a gun and say, you know, Trump is an orange, you know, is a fruit, then it's like, hey, God bless America, right? But and we haven't even mentioned the not only the cost of living, but also just healthcare in of itself is just expensive. And you know, the food, I was meant to say the food. I mean, the food is you know, we're basically being poisoned, you know. Like, I don't see America's great for making money, and that's about it.
I don't care what anybody says as an American military guy. As a military guy and somebody that fought for this country, as well as the other brothers that are sitting on this table, on this panel, there's nothing you can say about America that's going to make me turn against it. Obviously, I put my life up for it. You get what I'm saying? While other things might be great, while other things might be a lot more healthier, Everybody is still at the end of the day trying to fight to get in. And while we are privileged to already be American citizens, I still won't regret being one, and I still won't turn against it. I don't give a damn.
Let me ask you this. Do you have grandchildren?
I absolutely do.
Do you think they're going to live a better quality life than you did growing up?
Or the better question is, would you want them to join the military?
Right.
I've told each one of my sons not to join the military first. I told them to try to do something other than join the military. My son wanted to be a scout sniper at first. I said, go to college, try to do that first. If you can't do that, find something you love to do. If you can't do that, then yeah, go ahead and go in the military. I really think military service should be mandatory for a lot of these guys that don't have any fucking direction. Because I guarantee you, after 2 years worth of fucking life in the military, you're gonna have a fucking direction at the end of it.
I believe if you're gonna require mandatory military service, there's going to be some way where you're gonna have access to affordable housing. I mean, if I don't know how old you are, Ronan, but
if they did mandatory service, they would have access to VA loans, VA benefits, and everything else. So if you put everybody in that system, listen, for 2 years or 3 years of your service, just like Singapore, if you do 2 or 3 years worth of their service, they're giving you college, they're giving you advantages in order to take you further. Israel does the same thing. So for your service, you're getting these benefits. So
I'm glad you mentioned that about Israel. But check this out. You know what Israel has that we don't have? They have free health care.
What?
And they also have college as well.
We pay for it.
You pay for it.
Think about this. If you were in the military, you would have access. Listen, think about this. If you were in the military, you would have access to free health care through the VA.
Do you know that I believe Israel has is above like 3.5 when it terms to their birth rate, and we're below birth rate, right? Do you guys also know another thing too? They don't allow adult film content in their country.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They do.
They told you that. I've been to Israel. I've been to
Eilat. Israel for 3 years. They do.
I've been to Haifa. They freaks out there, man. And then let me tell you, let me side note this real quick. I'll go in and out. I was on that base, okay, out in Eilat. Women are bad, man. And they are beyond interest for us. We had to have strict orders to stay away from them, and even they still find their way to us. I was scared, man. I was kind of young when I first went out there, though. First time I got on a base, that was during the Kosovo conflict. And I was kind of scared. But let me tell you something. When you walk around the country, what you see a lot is everybody's walking around with regular clothes, walking around with rifles, machine guns, and just walking around. We saw a guy drunk. They said he was a soldier. He was drunk with regular clothes on and a big old shotgun hanging over his back, drunk. So don't think that Israel has got everything all locked in together, man. And when we got, when their leaders came out, because we was in the in a hall, and their leaders came out to talk to us, and I thought it was like a comedy show. They were basically bolstering how much they are the greatest Air Force, the greatest country, the greatest soldiers, and America should show more respect to Israel. And the way you were talking, and this was back in 1998. And they were talking like, basically in a nutshell, they're basically like, we're the supreme, you need to bow to us. And what was the highest rank that was in there was just a full bird captain, not no generals or anything like that. And he just put it on and he lost it for something anyway. And they were just sitting there quiet, smiling. You could tell their mouth was quivering. They were just like being good boys. And I'm looking around like, what the fuck is this? That Israel has had our balls for a long time. Now, let me ask y'all this. From the U.S. and Germany standpoint, who gives them the most? What empowers Israel the most? Is it having blackmail on our most powerful, or is it just putting money in their hand?
What was the first part? Having black? What was that?
Having something on our most powerful leaders because they did something stupid, or they got their hand out and are getting a lot of money put in their pocket.
I gotta say the money part, man.
Hmm?
You know, I want to say they have something on us, but
Little
usually the
even.
people who go to Congress, they don't have anything on them.
No, they control all our critical infrastructure. I mean,
what?
They control all our critical infrastructure points.
What do you mean?
I mean, when we talk about media, we talk about our academics, you talk about our politics. I mean, they control.
Well, I know what you're talking about. You're basically talking about what media is doing. You know, at TikTok, what he was talking about. Well, in order for them to have acquired that kind of power, it still goes back to where do they get more of their influence? Is it blackmail, or are they paying? They're paying our.
It's a combination. It's just like the mafia. It's a combination of both. The mafia doesn't always engage in just.
Which one you think it weighs out the most? Is it blackmail?
I think if I'm gonna be honest with you, I think they pay off before, and if you don't take the money, that's when they blackmail you.
Yeah, but then that would be 100% blackmail.
But
no, I don't think it's blackmail. I think it's the power. And the reason I say the power, please help me out with Kyrie. What was the basketball player that put out a tweet?
Kyrie
Irving.
Yeah. He put out a tweet that just said, read this book. And they shut him down. Suspended from a game, can't play, you got to apologize. And so there was no blackmail in that.
Our sports teams are definitely getting money. It's not really blackmail with our sports team because
you can't really. Who's the commissioner of the NBA?
Yeah, but if you blackmail the commissioner of any, that's not going to cause an NBA. It's not going to cause the NBA to act like that. That's money.
What I'm saying is,
remember we talking about Congress before Congress goes in.
It's Congress.
They pay him in APAC, and then they let him go over to Israel. And so as much as they pay him, they have the whole thing. Who's getting paid? And they show this person's getting paid. You owe me a favor. There was a congresswoman that said she was a black lady.
Yeah.
And here's what they told her. We don't even care if you don't like us. That's fine. Just don't even vote against us. Meaning we'll let you stay in power. And she said, I'm not going to do that. She had spent $1.5 million on her re-election. It was like $2 million. For her to get not elected, they spent $10 million on the next person just to get her out of office.
Yeah, they try to primary them out. That's what they did to Thomas Massey.
And it's money. It's money. Now you see it's a system right now. You blackmail the most powerful politicians, okay? And the most powerful politicians make it easy for Israel to pay the rest of them.
Correct.
Now, here's the power. Here's where how the power gets streamlined. Everyone knows how much money gets sent to Israel. They keep throwing as much money as they can to Israel because the more money Israel has, the more money they have to pay us.
Exactly.
That's called money laundering in many ways. It's like this. And it's been doing this for a long, long time. And Israel just sits back and says, we need money for this. Whatever they need, they get. And it's through blackmailing the right politicians
without supporting Israel,
keeping that money going. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to cut off. My bad.
No, do you think a president can get elected without supporting Israel?
Hell no, he'll end up like
Kennedy. Why did they kiss the freaking wall? You know how off the wall that is? Get China to do something like that.
Jeffrey Sachs
they'll fight you right there and then when you ask them to do that. The freaking Chinese leader, I don't care who it is, they'll literally physically fight you if you ask them to do that.
And that wall has no significance. It's not even anything religious. It's a Roman wall.
Let me.
I wanted to say
it's more like do it, bitch.
Real quick. Jeffrey Sachs mentioned he was like the only person that ever tried to do what Fearless was talking about was Kennedy, and you see what happened to him, right? He tried to make. You see how we give all our money. We have the NGOs, which is basically like a soft kind of bribe, and say, "Well, we're going to help you with your country, but you have to play on our terms, right? Via NGOs, right? Lobbying and what have you." Remember when the whole thing with Doge happened? The only place that didn't cut their funding was Israel. When Kennedy was in office, he was trying to force Israel to become classified as a foreign lobby, because once you do that, then there's some restrictions, and they have to play by everybody else's rules, right?
Right.
So like I said, I mean, even people when it's funny, whenever I talk to white supremacists and they talk about reparations, I say, so you're against reparations? I'm like, so why are you not against Israel? Israel gets more money than the whole continent of Africa in terms of funding and aid.
That's
and
crazy.
then I leave them shocked, and then I'll be like, have a good day. You know what I mean?
And then keep in mind how much money France gets from Africa.
Let me
listen. I'll give it a real quick thing.
Okay.
Israel has so much access to the United States. They have access to our top secret weaponry when it comes to our stealth bombers and stealth planes, that they modify them immediately after they buy them. So if you don't think Israel has some kind of control in the American government where they have access to our top secret information and our weaponry, you got another thing coming. That's how deeply ingrained this goes.
Let me read this super chat really quick, Ronan. And thank you for this as well. Soldier says embassies will be on high alert worldwide. Expect sleeper cells to activate, increasing risk to U.S. citizens abroad, especially where Americans frequent. You put the Chinese flag. China will try to take advantage of chaos, flexing its muscle. Now, out of that super chat, I want to go back to where he says increasing risk to U.S. citizens abroad, especially where we frequent. I will say, since I live in Nairobi, whenever the United States does things, Nairobi, Kenya is a target too. There was 2 terrorist attacks based off of something the United States did. I believe the first one was when they killed Osama bin Laden. I think it was when they killed Osama bin Laden. They had a terrorist attack right after that, and they claimed the responsibility for that.
Well,
that's one thing too. Whenever a political leader lies, the first thing you better want to know, that didn't make sense. The first thing you better have in your intelligence is who's affected by it and who gets pissed off. What countries get pissed off?
Yeah, and Kenya's right next to Somalia, and they always get pissed off.
So is Turkey. Did you see what Turkey was doing? They're burning our flag.
I'm glad you mentioned Turkey. I hope I didn't cut you off. If you wanted,
I just want to say this real quick. You keep this in mind. Israel also throws out false flags. All right, false flag attacks. So you need to keep that in mind, because the oil field that was burnt down, the Iranian foreign minister said we didn't do that. But yet I'm hearing from like Tucker Carlson, he said there was 2 Mossad agents that were arrested one in Saudi Arabia, one in Qatar. And Mossad has been known to do false flag attacks just to bring people in there. So you have to keep that in the equation, that there's going to be a terrorist attack. We have to include Israel maybe doing that just to sucker us more, to do more attacks on Iran and blame Iran for this. So we got to be careful.
It's funny. Mossad and Israel are so bad. I watched an interview with the ex-CIA operative, right? And he said that they used to, whenever Mossad agents used to come to the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, they would end up finding out like a day or 2 later that they would have like machinery or like equipment where they were tapping or bugging their rooms. They say they will consistently do it to the point so much that the CIA made sure if they were going to have meetings with them, they would make sure that it was off campus, meaning it was like in a remote area somewhere. Like they couldn't come back on the campus.
There is no respect when it comes to that.
Right.
How do we call them an ally? I mean, y'all in the military. How do you call that person an ally?
You tell me.
I don't know.
I ain't got nothing to do.
Also, I want to say this. Somebody, go ahead.
I don't know. I think it makes sense that we don't have to bomb them in order to get them to do business with us or to get them to have the same international interests as we do. I guess they call it an ally, but if you because they won't shoot at us.
Here's the thing. Here's the biggest thing. And say I think outside the box. That country is not that big. If you were just to wipe them off the planet, what would it matter? And we actually set up the statehood with Israel as far as Great Britain and United States in 1947. That wasn't Israel. That was Palestine. So we actually established a government, and we contributed to that government in order to help us with the Palestinians, because there was a problem in that region right after the World War II. And the whole reason why they put the German Jews down in Israel was because of that. But that wasn't originally Israel's land.
I'm glad to, I think I forgot the guy that's right next to me.
James.
James. I was about to say David. They're like another Bible name. James. He made a great point about Turkey. After this is all said and done, there are other 3 countries that are next that Israel is going to try to go after. And one
Turkey is the wrong country to mess with. You don't.
Right. And the irony
if Turkey has to deal with Israel, they're going to deal with Israel permanently.
Right.
You don't mess with Turkey. Turkey and India are countries that people, when they go there, they don't think much of them. But I'm going to tell you right now, go ahead and ask ChatGPT about their military. They will fuck Israel up.
Right. And this is what I get with the guy that was on before, Jay, with the yellow shirt. He doesn't understand. And this is one of the questions I wanted to ask him. Turkey, if you're going to say, the reason why is because they're terrorists. It's like, okay, is Turkey a terroristic country? Turkey is a NATO country, right? There have been people that have said they believe one of the reasons, and I never thought about this until now. I always assumed the reasons why Trump wanted us to pull out of NATO is because we subsidize majority of the European budget when it comes to the military, right? But some have argued that the reason why he wants to pull out is because then it would give. Then there's no bad reasoning. You can't argue in bad faith of Israel attacking Turkey because Turkey's a NATO country, right? So it would look bad if they would attack a fellow NATO country. Not only
Israel is already attacking many of our allies. Was absolutely zero intelligence that they needed to. So if you think Israel want to just up and just attack Turkey, and then try to say it wasn't us, it must have been one of the planes that accidentally dropped, they don't care. They don't like Turkey, and Turkey doesn't like Israel. You have to realize, I mean, if you just look at international policy and what kind of relationships we have with these countries in accordance to NATO and our economy, if you just look at that, you're going to get misled. But if you look at what's going on and of the people and what they're saying and how they feel about these countries and what's been happening, military history is very important, okay, to realize what we've done and why we did it. And then you realize what we're doing right now. You're going to realize that Turkey doesn't even really like the United States. They don't even like us. They be, they just don't bother us because, it's like, it's just the U.S. But don't come in our house. It's not about wipe your shoes off before you come in your house. It's, I don't know. Who are you? We don't know you yet. Why don't you stand outside the door while I make a couple phone calls and make sure, we don't have to worry about you. But even then, we still don't trust you. So, and in that sense, the United States is Israel's looking at it like this. I think there's a possibility that we can bomb them and we can convince the United States that they don't really, need their protection, that Turkey's been doing some things that they're not supposed to, and it probably shouldn't be in NATO. So let us deal with them.
Right. But no, you made excellent points. Especially from a military standpoint. I think people don't know. I'm sure you guys know about the Israel memo, right? About the greater Israel, what have you. It's not just Iran. It's not just the Arabic Muslim speaking countries, right? I mean, though Somalia is a Muslim speaking country, but also on their agenda is Sudan, Somalia, and Turkey. So at one point we can always say, we can argue, they have nuclear programs, Iran, this, that, and the third. You telling me that you're going to go into Sudan and Somalia as well and Turkey and start a war with them? Because that's what's going to happen eventually. If
not to mention that we can't fight Turkey.
They don't have to start a war with them, brother. What they do is, like they do with all the African leaders, they just buy the leadership.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a lot different when you deal with Africa. It's all about the
China
leaders.
doesn't invade, they just bribe the leadership.
Yeah. That's what's been happening in Africa. All their leaders have been bought out. And they try to maneuver to make sure somebody gets in there that are just frankly stupid.
Let me read a couple of these super chats. Cash Flow Hustle says America being greatest is debatable, but world economic and military power is irrefutable. The story goes in 1962, JFK told Israel no on advancing their nuclear program, and then 2 years later, he was assassinated. The next president agreed. Trump, after telling Israel no, almost was killed.
Incorrect on that. The next president.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah,
They stole they stole it. They stole the nuclear. They stole the nuclear
secrets. Yeah,
secrets, and then used it because even to this day.
Don't say from the U.S.
They have nuclear weapons. They say we can neither confirm nor deny.
When they steal your nuclear secrets, you send in the Navy SEALs, bro. That's Navy SEALs territory right there.
Here's the thing. We were butthurt over it, and if they stole it from the United States, they use that verbiage, but we probably gave it to them.
Yeah, we probably did.
No,
that's what I'm trying to say. That's like, you got to go now.
No, they got it from one of the African countries that got rid of the nuclear program.
I know they gave it to South Africa too, right?
If I'm not
Israel
mistaken.
took it and gave it to South Africa and Brazil.
Israel's off the chain. One thing about it is a lot of you know, we can't fight Turkey. We're not going to be fighting Sudan. We can't. We can't fight war like that.
And that was the whole point of us trying to keep them out of the coalition during Gulf War was, look, I know you want to get your revenge, but that's why you got us. Just step back and let us do it. One, you're going to disintegrate every fucking coalition member here because they're offended by you. So let us do it. You get what I mean? So this is the problem with Israel. They're so offensive to so many other nations because of who they stand for and who they are, that it's just easier for a Christian nation to do it versus them being Jewish. And I'm going to say it just like it is.
You really we need some government policies to stop that money coming into these politicians' pockets. I mean, the fact that we don't have any checks and balances for this is off the wall.
It's gonna happen. But it's gonna happen. Not in our generation per se. It's gonna be people that are like Austin's age and younger, because no. Let me explain why. The veil has been uncovered. People understand what Israel is about via social media. They can only get. I don't want to be controversial, but the only people that believe that Israel, God's chosen and that they have a right, not necessarily, I'm not saying that they should be obliterated, but the whole concept of, they have the right to exist, therefore they should attack everybody else, is more of a boomer concept. That's what the boomers believed, like the old people that watch Fox News. The younger generations are not Israel, both on the left and the right. Look at Nick Fuentes, right? Look at younger dudes. They're not, these are staunch downright conservatives, right? We know the left doesn't agree with it because
Nick Fuentes is not a conservative.
No, he is. He's
I don't want to talk about Nick Fuentes at all, but he's not a conservative.
I'm trying to make a point in terms of.
Yeah, I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah. Concede my point on the fact that he's on the right. Both the left and the right of the younger generations, they're not with what Israel is going on. So therefore, if you have, let's say by that time that generation gets of age and they're able to hold office, they're not going to be so friendly in terms of just going along to get along with what Israel's doing. That's why they had to get rid of TikTok.
Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not. They're all against what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's why that's when
there is a tide turning. If 3 years ago, how many years ago, you couldn't say anything about Israel. You couldn't mention their name. Who was the one basketball player that tweeted "Free Palestine" and they said within 2 minutes of him tweeting it, they was like, "Look, take that down. You can't have that. You got to apologize." Not Irving, the other guy.
I think that was Dwight Howard.
The white guy, right?
No, it was a black guy. It was a black guy.
I think it was Dwight
Howard. It was a white dude that got manhandled. And one thing too, right now, nowadays we're going in on it. And one of my favorite person now, I don't know if I call her a journalist, Anna Kasparin. I love Anna Kasparin, man. She goes in on Israel.
I watched the Young Turks. Yeah. I watched.
Y'all got to start watching Anna Kasparin, man. I like her, man.
I watched both left and right.
I can say Anna's great. That's good, but she, in a sense, preached to the choir. I think when things really started to change, when somebody like Tucker Carlson said, "Hey,
you're
fat, right?"
Yes,
and not only him, when Candace Owens was like, "Hold up, I can't say." I forgot what she said. God is King, Lord, something.
Christ is King. Yeah,
Christ is King, and then that went. The tide changed, and I think that's what really is where people started questioning and say, you know. So anything I say is anti-Semitic. Hold up now. I can't say I love Jesus.
No, like what's the define? Anna, she actually did that. Define anti-Semitic. She was on Tucker Carlson's show. Define anti-Semitic. Nobody said anything. She said it like 4 times. Nobody said anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone tried to filibuster. That's when she was like, "You don't try to filibuster me, bitch." I like her, man.
People are the people of the Middle East. Yeah. Everybody who are Arab or Muslim, Jewish or whatever, those are the Semitic people. So it's not indicative to just one group of people.
And they're not the real Jews.
And to be honest with you, that I think the whole thing with Epstein, that put the nail in the coffin with a lot of people, because it's like, okay, hold on, how is he able to have this whole web of influence among all from leaders in Arab nations, or people with the I forgot the logistic magnet that's like from Dubai or whatnot, all the way to like the president of Harvard, right, to the guy that owns Victoria's Secret, like he's to people that were like the attorney general for Obama, to the guy that, like I said, Victoria's Secret. I mean, from everywhere, people that he was in Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. People like, hold up, how is one person that's considered a PDF, right, is able to have have this sphere of influence so large, right? We'll never think of Bill Gates the same way. Everybody know he was a little weirdo with this whole depopulation thing, but he'll never be looked at the same. So people are like, oh, hold on, what's going on? And the fact that we all know Palantir, what Palantir is about, and the fact that he was able to talk to the former prime minister, Barak, I forgot, I'm butchering his name, but the former prime minister of Israel, and telling him, hey, you need to click up with Peter Thiel. He'll get you on the board for Palantir. Like when you see all these files and how he has this influence, I think that was a nail in the coffin for a lot of people.
I know we're talking about World War III. So here's my question. You're saying get Israel off the map in this. But my opinion, if there was another nuclear launch, it would be Israel launching the nuclear weapon. Do you see anybody else? United States.
Who would they launch it at?
Anyone around their place?
Well, I mean, you got to see. That's one thing about nuclear. I'm not trying to challenge your intelligence, but whenever you talk nuclear, it needs to be real specific on that. Like who would they want to bomb? Like, all right, let me ask you this: if they launch a nuclear missile, what country obliteration would interest them the most?
Under my assumption, from what I believe, the reason what was reported could be false. The reason that United States got involved is because Israel said, if you don't, we're going to nuke them.
Well, that's threat talk. A lot of countries say that. A lot, all the time. I mean, North Korea says it like every other day.
No, but I don't think we should ever underestimate Israel from now on. I don't think.
And would there be the thing is?
I mean, I see where you're pointing at. Because you don't hear about it as much, but countries threaten nuclear attacks all over all the time.
James, are you familiar with the Samson option?
Not really.
Okay, you know about the story of Samson, right?
I'll be right back.
I don't want to belabor the point about Samson because I don't want to go into that too much detail. But we know all. I don't know if we all know how Samson died. He was he was taken captured
in the
by
Bible.
Yeah, he got his hair cut.
Haircut, yeah.
Yeah, he was taken over by the Philistines, and they chained him to they chained him to pillars, and he basically used his strength to knock the pillars down and killed everybody in the process. There's a thing called the Samson option, whereas Israel believes if all else fails, they'll blow up the whole Middle East with their weapons.
Actually, the whole world.
Let me
Israel alone doesn't have enough to blow up the whole world, but
I said Middle East, but
well,
they do have enough to destabilize the Middle East. Not blow it all up, but they do have enough to destabilize the Middle East, but not enough to destabilize the Middle East forever.
It's estimated they have about 400 nukes.
Right. A lot of people don't. Nuclear missiles. The most
country has 400 nukes.
Yeah,
James,
nuclear missile is not. I mean, it is incredibly powerful, but some of the most powerful nuclear missiles they don't destroy as much as people think, but they are very powerful.
EMP is enough. You drop an EMP in certain cities,
it's
over.
That's my choice of nuclear missiles. Yes, EMP. That's how I would come at China if we have to go to war with them.
James,
I like EMP.
Let me read this really quick. Soldier says that would never happen if Israel attacks China. Article 5 will be invoked. Israel will be at war with every NATO country plus regional Middle East nations. Israel's not stupid. They pick their battles well. That is a good alternative, though. I haven't thought about countries using the EMP. That is a good alternative. Yeah, it's saves way more lives.
I mean, it's almost, if you think about it, think about this. In Venezuela, when we went in and took over or took Maduro out, there was reports that all the power got shut off all simultaneously at the same time. Who's to say they didn't pop an EMP?
Which country?
But they were Venezuela. When they went in and took Maduro, everything went out all at once.
That wasn't an EMP. That was another. I forgot the name of it, but
it was a sonic. It was a sonic weapon.
Supersonic.
Yeah, they said it was supersonic.
But what I'm saying is the principle is sound that if you pop an EMP, which is even worse, which means total seizure of all electronic equipment. They just did a temporary one with the sonic one. But if you drop the EMP, that shows you how powerful an EMP would be to affect the whole region in that area, as far as a midair explosion that sends out a signal that basically fries everything that's electronic. And if you're a prepper, you understand you need reinforcements in a Faraday cage to replace all things that are fried. Because
just so people understand, if you launch the most powerful EMP nuke that we have, and yes, it's called an EMP nuke, their country's nuclear system operations are not going to shut down. Some of them may. Some operations of the nuclear, they won't be as efficient with their nuclear launches, and they won't be able to follow their nukes after they're launched. So they would just be like, hope it hits. But their nuclear systems being able to be launched will still operate if you hit them with a nuclear nuke right over where their main nuclear operations are. And no country has a main nuclear operation. They have several. So you can't stop nuclear launches with an EMP.
I'm reading what this soldier says. My question is this. Maybe not a nuclear war, but do you think Israel would ever attack or fight Turkey?
Israel's been making trouble for Turkey for a very long time.
Now, I know what you guys are saying, and this person is saying, oh, once you go after one NATO country, all of them get involved. Do you think that would happen if Israel went after Turkey? Do you think the United States would say, hey, you know what, we're going to get involved?
Here's what's going to happen. The protection of Israel will have to cease. You can no longer protect Israel if they attack a NATO country like Turkey. Whatever Turkey does, the U.S. has no choice but to just stop, because our generals will not. They would just look at Trump and be like, nah, I'm good. They don't have to. And Trump can't do anything about it. The generals do this. We're talking about NATO. Trump ain't got that much power to sit there and let Trump destabilize NATO and have everyone attack coming after the United States, and they're not going to let them do that.
Let's do this. Because we're saying United States. Do you think NATO would say, all
Right.
right, we're going to go to war with Israel?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You think
In
that would
other
happen?
words, the main protector of Israel is the United States and Germany. Okay. Nobody protects Israel more than United States and Germany. And I guess England, but England ain't nobody. They got a bunch of nuclears. England has a lot of nuclear missiles, a lot more than people think. But what will happen is NATO will basically tell the United States, we're coming, we are going to bomb and destroy and completely destabilize Israel. And there's nothing the United States can do about it. That's what I meant. I think that's more clear.
Here's the thing. If you just talking about Israel as an army by themselves, they would get their ass whipped. Okay. Right now, they're recruiting people outside of Israel to go and join the IDF because they're getting their butts handed on the ground.
Yeah, right now.
With just what's going on in Gaza, because you're talking Hamas. Because when they initiated this after October 7th, what had happened was U.S. has sent generals, especially from the Marine Special Operations, sent them and told them what to do. They decided to do the opposite, and they boomed the heck out of Gaza. They gave the home field advantage more so to Hamas. And Hamas has been sending their guys up in body bags left and right on the ground. They've been kicking their butt left and right. So as a military force, IDF going up against Turkey, they ain't going to win. Going against NATO, they ain't going to win. They need the U.S. Just like
I mean, Turkey alone. I mean, Turkey will obliterate Israel.
James, let me intervene really quick. D-Man says an EMP is still a nuclear weapon and hard to differentiate on systems. Russia would have used it in Ukraine by now if it that easy to use. Also, if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you send a $1 cash app to $ Austin Holloman. We have about 20 more minutes left before we wrap the show up, and we'll continue tomorrow. If you have a question, make sure you send a super chat to ask it to the panel.
It says you think
Someone asked me if I'm military. I'm not, by the way. I'm not military.
Can I say something, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, who is it? Hey, can I say something? No, this Jordan Prince of Judah. This Jordan Prince of Judah, bro. Look, I speak that real shit, bro, because like I speak that shit, bro. We come from the seed of King David, bro. Like we come from the seed of like King Solomon, and you know, like what the world was going on right now. I got a girl that's in Kenya right now that I'm trying to get to. I'm from America, bro. I'm from the black community. I speak a lot of shit that I speak because I speak some real shit. It ain't a lot of people that come from where I come from. I seen a lot of stuff. So I see what's going on in the world right now. And I'm trying to speak to my brothers that's listening right now. Y'all, we all need to wake up, bro. At the end of the day, we need to wake up. You got Russia man right now in Kenya. Austin.
Bro, you're derailing the panel, bro. We're not even. You're all over the place,
bro. Let me finish what I'm saying, bro. Like you interrupted me. Austin, let me finish something right now. And you know some bullshit was going on in Russia, you know? At the end of the day, I speak what I'm saying, bro. I'm speaking what I'm saying on all ends of the world. Because this happening on all ends of the world. It ain't just Kenya, bro. It's happening here in Atlanta. It's happening in Tanzania. It's happening everywhere you go. So we need to step up as black men. Stop being bullshit and stop bullshit.
I think I'm about to go eat some peanut butter crunch with some almonds sprinkled on it. So,
no offense, I just don't know what you're saying. You said something.
Bro, we're talking about geopolitics. You're talking about Kundalini energy and Umar Johnson rhetoric, bro. We're not talking about that.
What y'all talking about?
We're talking about geopolitics. You keep you derailing the topics. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Who the fuck? Like, I mean, like, who is you though? Like, who is you?
We need to.
I'm him. Input. That's who I am. I'm him.
Who is you? Who is you?
I'm him.
Because you got something to do right now. Who is you?
I'm him.
You him? Like the movie him? With the football movie?
No, I'm just him. Just that's what you got. I'm him. No, you're derailing the topic.
Yeah, we're at the man.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Austin. You're a godsend, man. Good God. Like, I hate when niggas do that. Like, You got to understand the black man and the power structure and the testicular fortitude of my circumference of the powers that be. And pork is the devil, my brother. So you got to understand what I'm trying to say to you. The aliens.
Matter of fact, I got some
and he
some
took it
dried.
and arranged it into the all over the continent, brothers. We were kings until the aliens came over. Like, come on, bro. Like,
so here's the thing: we are in a bubble, Austin. I mean, you know, being in the United States, we kind of in a bubble. Whenever I go overseas or I go somewhere else, like it surprises me when I go to like a Latin country what I see on the news. Like they show like the bodies, they show all of that. How is it different, and what are you seeing being outside of the United States? Because we get a filtered news of what's going on. What news do you hear?
I mean, here it's the news is, like you said, it's more authentic. It's almost like they show a central portion of the story. More so, I mean, they have their biases depending on where you're at, but it's more central. Yeah, I mean, I just concur with what you're saying. I noticed that a few years ago when I first started traveling. I remember I was in the airport in India, and they were saying things that the United States media companies weren't saying. That's why, yeah, like Al Jazeera. Somebody put Al Jazeera in the chat. I follow them more heavily because it's more central. You actually get the story.
If anybody wants to get updated, I watch a lot of different people, and I whether it's left or right, from people I always know that I have no qualms about saying Fuentes is a white supremacist, but I still watch what he says because you can learn things you can learn from anybody, even the devil. We know that the devil is what can you learn from the devil, Azrael? Well, you can learn the fact that he's one of the most hardworkingest in the sentient being that we know that to mankind, and we know that he has the confidence of a mofo because he believes that he can influence us over God, right? He feels as though he has greater sway than God, even though he know he's going to be destroyed, right? Long story short, I listened to Jeffrey Sachs. Also, Professor Jiang is very good. He's a Asian guy. He's very well read, and he's a professor still, and he gives like geopolitics to the T. Just type in Professor Jiang, Jiang, and there was somebody else I forgot. I think his name is Desjin. I forgot. You type in Desjin clips, but yeah. And then Myron is really good too. When it comes to geopolitics, he knows his stuff.
So with the military guys, where do y'all see the end game? Is there an end game? And my question would be, when you go to war, I always thought, how can I describe this? Okay, there's an objective. That would be it. Well, do y'all know what the objective would be, or do y'all know what the end game would be, or what is winning? Yeah, what is winning then?
Well, I don't think anyone can properly answer that question to simplify all that's going on. And the reason why is because there are many individuals in power or with power, not exactly in power or with power, that have vastly different interests in all that's going on. And the good part about it is they all have the village idiot and the most powerful seat in the world. And because of that, they're all in his ear with all of their interests. And he's looking at it like this: how do I benefit from what this person is asking me? And doesn't care about anything else whatsoever. And when his decision causes a problem, he deals with it when shit hits the fan, and he just tries to run up there and clean it off just enough. At some point, it's going to be so much shit on a fan, he's not going to be able to clean off, and he's just going to do something crazy like this to stop you from looking at it while he takes that fan off and changes it out. But that fan still affects us. So the end game is to get the people who have power and are in power out of power, who are doing things that hurt us. But as far as the end game for people who are doing what they're doing, as far as Donald Trump is, get him the fuck out.
But if here's the problem.
Go ahead.
George Bush, one of the Bushes, started the war in Afghanistan. Obama couldn't really get out. Somebody started it, you kind of just in it. So when you say get him out, and once this start, how do you get that? How do you stop this war? You know, if we're saying if this goes on the next 3 years, what does that look like?
See, that's the whole thing. When you go into a conflict, you have a like you said, an end game. You have an exit point where you say, okay, we've achieved these missions, our objective has been earned, and we're out. When the military gets in, that's what our normal goal is to do, is to go in, achieve the objective, whether it be hold, secure, or restabilize a region. Those are our objectives. Once we achieve those, it's not our place to run a government. Okay, that's supposed to be turned back to those local people, whatever the United States wants to do. We're supposed to pull out. We're not supposed to be running governments as military or like a military state. You know, so at the end of the day, for Iran, it's not a thing where we have an objective to conquer that nation and hold on to it, even though they tried to do that with Iraq. You saw what happened. We are not set up that way. You know, we even set up Saddam in the 40-year war to fight against Iran.
Right. Who was the CIA?
Progressively moved. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's not our place to do these things. And when you utilize the military in such a way to take over or to take down nations, it starts to be messing around with, you know, controlling governments and world opinion. And that's not what we're supposed to be doing as a free nation. We can help people free themselves. That's what we should be doing.
But when we do that, Ronan, I know we say we help people. There was the PLO, Palestinian League, with Yasser Arafat,
Palestinian Liberation Army,
right? From the Clinton era.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So what we did was we got rid of Yasser Arafat and we allowed the Palestinians to elect who they wanted. They elected Hamas, and now we say they bad. I say that to say we say we want regime change,
but so bad to who? That's the whole thing. It's not our opinion of what's bad or good. If that nation wants that, then that's what they want.
So if they put in another Ayatollah,
we're trying to guide them down a narrow pathway of what we feel as the Americans is right, but yet and still everybody has a right to their own leadership and their own government. And we're being forcibly trying to push people in a certain direction of, you know, a global fucking political idea of what's right in society and what's wrong. And
I'm
that's
not agreeing with you. What I'm saying is, so what happens if Iran elects another Ayatollah?
That's what they do. That's what their freedom should be. They should be able to do those things.
It's bound to happen. They're governed by theocracy, not a democracy. Right. And I think that
strike them again. Do we?
No, because it's like I'm gonna give you a very layman's term to say, right? Do you get mad at a dog for barking? No, because it's a dog. It's like that's what a dog is going to do. And I'm not saying I want people to understand I'm not calling these people dogs. I'm just saying it's in their country's nature and their ethics and their culture to establish a theocracy. You're not going to put in, I know what America's going to try to do is try to put in the Shah's grandson, and it's not going to work. Right? It's not.
I guess it goes back to this. If it's not going to work, what was the purpose from the beginning?
Because America,
again, it wasn't our war. It was Israel trying to do that shit. We didn't have anything to do with it. We're backing somebody else up on their operation. Really?
Well, to your point, Fearless, allegedly Marco Rubio said the whole purpose. He said three different answers. As you know, the administration is kind of lying, but he said, "Oh, it was a preemptive strike." Initially, they said because of regime change. Then today they were saying, "Oh, it's a preemptive strike," because they didn't want Israel just to go in there and then cause total chaos, and they felt as though they had to strike first before they strike them, that's not true, right? But long story short, let's say that is true. Like I was saying earlier, America cannot create a regime change with just airstrikes. You're going to have people on the ground, and that's going to be Afghanistan, Iraq 2.0, right? So I think you just have to accept that group of people in that region, they are governed by theocracy, and you're not going to change that.
Let me read these two super chats, and then we're gonna start wrapping everything up. I got my last question. Tevin King says support black male media. Thank you for the super chat. And judicial J2000 says Azrael's correct. If you want to get the real info about geopolitics, nobody's doing like Myron Gaines. I disagree with you. That dude is a beast. With it, sub Austin, been a minute. Thank you very much for the super chat. Good from here for you again. It's been a while, but yeah, Myron Gaines, I go back and forth with him sometimes on Twitter, and I think he just is rage baiting sometimes because some of the stuff is,
rage bait about different stuff. But when it comes to geopolitics, he knows his, like when it comes to the Middle East politics, when you talk about with our issues with Russia, when you talk about, you know, China potentially trying to take over Taiwan, that stuff, he's up there. I put, like, I'm not saying that he's always completely right. Like this, I don't agree with everything he says. When geopolitics, he knows his stuff, you know. And I said there's other people too. You have Jeffrey Sachs, older white dude. You have Professor Jiang. You have I forgot the first name, but I know he's a YouTube channel called Dresden Clips. They're former military generals that have YouTube channels. I mean, yeah. And
that's the thing right there, Azrael. When you are to work in the government for so long, and I'm talking government intelligence and other things like military, you start thinking a different way than most civilians do. So his mentality, being that he came from a government agency, is to think as if, you know, what would the government be doing and what's their posture, you know, because when you're looking at governmental moves, it's like playing 3 or 4 dimensional chess. For every move, there's a counter move, and there's people that you will offend based on the fact that you're doing that one move. So when you look at global intelligence, when you look at a report, it's like, if we do this here, then this, and this are the effects. But we need to counteract those effects with this, and this. There's actually a total report that shows you dimensionally from one effect, what's the cause and effect of that on a global scale. Who's going to be offended? Who's not going to be offended? Who's going to support? They already know all these things before we do one thing.
Right.
The intelligence community knows the whole 360-degree story. And then we weigh out the pros and cons of, if we go ahead and follow through on this action, regardless, what's the global effect going to be for us in our positioning? Because we always want to look like the world, like benefactor. We don't ever want to give ourselves a black eye globally. Initially, we didn't. Now, Donald Trump doesn't care. But globally, as the United States posturing, we always wanted to be the country of do no harm. We always want to look like the good guy, like we're of service to a lot of these countries so that they can come to us when they need something. But at this point, it's looking like we're kind of badgering or just following behind one person as a lapdog, unfortunately, which is Israel.
Yeah. I mean, the concept of America.
Before you respond to Tevin King sent a $10 super sticker. The movie Escape from LA was about the coming blackout EMP. It's all scripted in the Masonic World War III script that Albert Pike wrote. Winning equals fighting until one side throws up the white flag or has no one else to fight. The first example is World War II Russian Empire that ran out of food. The Tsar was overthrown. Russia stopped fighting. Same thing with Germany. No food, no allies, no money. Let me ask the last question. So looking 5 to 10 years ahead of this conflict, does this accelerate a broader realignment in the Middle East, like shifting alliances, which I think we already see that happening, new security blocks, energy diversification, new borders, and how would that reshape how Americans can move around the world, invest, and travel globally?
I think it shapes the entire world. And I said this before. If I'm a country who feels vulnerable, even like a country that you would think has nothing to do, like a Colombia, when the United States says, oh, we're going to take you out. If I'm a Mexico, I want to get a nuclear weapon. I want to get something that I never invested in because that's the only way to deter the United States. If the United States says, I can come into your country, kidnap your president, if we can get bombs and from anywhere in the world, we can take out your whole regime, that becomes scary. And the only countries that they don't do it to are people who have nuclear weapons. So I don't think it makes us safer. I think that it changed the whole political aspect to say, this is a race maybe not to be offensive, but this is our only defensive mechanism because it's been pointed out. Saddam Hussein says, we don't have weapons of mass destruction. Great, we're going to kill you. Gaddafi, we give up our weapons of mass destruction. We're not going for it. Great, we'll kill you. It changes the whole landscape that people now want to protect themselves because we're doing to countries that what we said we would never do. We'll kidnap your president. We'll threaten you. We'll give intelligence to kill you if you're a civilian. We don't need the intelligence to do it. So it makes us all, I think, very suspect and weak.
Okay. Well, those are all the questions that I have so far for today. Tomorrow we'll wrap up and we're on the group chat. So I'll give you tomorrow's topic. One last super chat. Glad you have some more panels going, keeping up the high level content, brothers. Well done. Thank you very much. Yeah, I believe that was you that said that you was looking forward to the panels. If you're the guy that was in Austin, Texas, yeah. This allows me to talk about more productive conversations and not have to constantly travel to create content. So CLM Mont sent another $10 for good info. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody that came up today. We'll do another one tomorrow around the same time if y'all want to join in again. And yeah.
I just
want one question for you, Austin. If the world keeps going like this, how's your travels going to go? And are you willing to travel now?
Are you going to stay in Nairobi or are you going to move around?
Yeah, I'm probably either going to go to Namibia or Nairobi full time. Namibia probably be best just because geopolitically it's just out of the way, and it's literally out of the way. Nairobi is I always called Kenya a testing ground for the West. They test their new HIV medications there, their new birth control there. They test their political interference campaigns there. They did that first before they did it in the UK. They tested in Kenya first. I mean, they pretty much do whatever they want, so I could see it being a target. And as I said before, it's always been a target for terrorist attacks.
One more question. What do you think is going to happen? And I ask this crazily. I think it's all about resources. What do you think is going to happen when Africa says, you know what? We don't want to give our resources to like France. Like there's some countries in Africa that have to take their raw material and give to France. What do you think will happen when they stand up and say, no more, we're going to do it ourselves?
Europe is going to be a big third world country.
Europe will go down for sure. But I don't see that happening though. It depends on what Trump does the rest of this year, if you ask me, because China and Russia are backing Africa right now. Like they're the ones trying to gain the influence there. If they decide to stop, I just don't, because I think if it's slowly happening, but if that was going to happen, it would have happened. You know, in most countries that, I don't know, that's actually a really good question I can't answer, because most countries that have tried to do that, for example, like look at what happened with Zimbabwe after they got rid of Rhodesia. You know, they got funded by the Soviet Union and the CCP.
And they dealing with hyperinflation, and they can only trade with like Russia and Cuba.
Yeah, their economy is fucked now. So it's.
So do you think Africa will always? I won't say always because that's a long time.
Can I say something
on Europe or Britain or whomever?
Can I say something to your point, Fearless? I think, in terms of what you were saying, I think the potency of America's stranglehold, because that was going to be my last topic, the hegemony is weakening and is being diluted. It's still going to be strong, but not as potent as it is, because we saw once Russia was still able to be functional, even with the sanctions. A lot of countries, I forgot which country it was, it's escaping my mind, but there was recent sanctions against them, right? Or America said we're going to put out sanctions toward them, and there were some countries that were backing off of the sanctions, like they weren't going to sanction a particular. I can't remember what country it was, but they didn't go along with what America's doing. So America engages in a lot of global racketeering, which is like we're gonna quote unquote protect you, but if you don't give us the money to protect you, we're gonna bully you, right? Like what the mafia would do. People are not really bowing down to America as much anymore. So when America, it's not a thing of now where it used to be like whatever America says goes. Like, okay, if America says we're going to sanction this country, everybody follows suit. Not everybody's doing that anymore.
But here's the thing, and I know I can't remember his name. First name is Frank, starts with a Z. One thing he said that Zanu. Yeah, we're gonna try to have him on our show. The one thing he said that Africans can't do is maintain.
Yeah.
He said there's not even a word that says it. So my question is, if you kick out Britain or you kick out those places, how do you maintain your infrastructure?
The thing is, the influence that Africa is getting now is a lot of it's coming from, as I said before, Russia, China, the Gulf states. But going through Southern Africa, I loved it when I heard. I don't like a lot of shit he says, but when he said that, I know exactly what he was saying. If you go to the countries that kept the white people, like Namibia, South Africa, and outliers are places like Botswana, that they didn't do the same thing as Namibia and South Africa, but Mauritius, Namibia, South Africa, Reunion Island, the infrastructure is magnificent. You know, some of it looks better than some major cities in America. Everywhere where the black people stayed in charge is fucked up. I mean, it's just, James has been there. How many potholes did you fall in Nairobi, James? How many potholes did you have to jump over?
Damn, James, you fell in potholes, bro?
Dude, no, Austin did. See, Austin forgot about it. He was the one that fell in a pothole. I saw it before he fell in it. He busted that ankle up. And the thing about it is, he didn't do it once, he did it twice. He tried to get me. But yeah, one thing about Nairobi is they really don't give a shit about the people or infrastructure. All they care about is pocketing, just like Trump.
I mean, I would have to say it's not only Kenya, but it's Nigeria. Look at what happened to Joshua when he went back after winning the boxing match, and his two trainers died.
Right.
Well, you know, Ronan,
see how they handled that? Holding him by his arm to guide him out. I was like, you don't do that, man.
Ronan,
I was scared when I saw that happening. I was like, I hope his spine isn't hurt.
To add on to your point, Ronan, they didn't have an ambulance. They had to put him in a police car.
Yeah.
I say about Africa is white people and Asian people and Arabs know how to be corrupt. Africans do not know how to be corrupt. White people
with balance and moderation.
The balance. The number one example that I always use is if the United States has $1 trillion budget for the military, they steal $100 billion by charging $2,000 for a screw, $10,000 for a plate. You wouldn't know until you looked for it though, because it's so efficient. In Africa, they get $1 trillion, they steal 999 billion, and then when they get invaded, they don't have bullets, they don't have helmets, they got Soviet era equipment, and you like, but y'all got this budget. Where'd the money go?
They got a Bentley.
Yeah,
and you know,
a Rolls Royce.
Someone
got a private jet.
Oh, and a private jet.
I remember I was on a panel one time, and someone made a great point. They said South Korea and Kenya gained their independence relatively at the same time. But
yes.
look at the difference of infrastructure and quality of living. We know, trust me, I'll be the first one. I love South Korea. Hopefully, I'm going. God willing, I could go there during New Year's to Seoul. Right. South Korea have their oligarchs. They have their whole. The Samsung is controlled by like 3 families. So it's not a lot of their infrastructure, a lot of their major companies, or like they have their own version of a South Korean, like Rothschild, Vanderbilt, all that other good stuff. However, they understand that in order for their people, for the country to thrive, their people have to have a modicum of a quality of life. African countries don't know how to do that, like what Austin was saying. So, like I said, they both gained their political autonomy around the same time, but one is night and day. Right. I mean, I always thought about this. Why is it that it's cheap? A flight from anywhere in America is cheaper to go to Asia than it is to Africa.
Bro, look at this.
It's cheaper to fly from one country to another. In Africa, it's expensive, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, I just did a video. I just did a whole explanation on why I'm going to tour Asia over Africa. And one of the things I brought up is for the price it cost. They just actually opened up a new route to Angola from Kenya, to Namibia from Kenya. Or they have direct flights twice a week, 2 or 3 times a week from Angola to Kenya. And it's now $400 round trip, which is very affordable. Before it was $800 one way. I don't give a damn where unless if you were coming from South Africa or Namibia, you were going to spend $800 one way, no matter where you were coming from in the continent. Now, with $800, you can fly from Thailand to 3 cities in the Philippines, to Vietnam, to Cambodia, to Laos, to Myanmar. You can, with $800, you can do the whole Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and Malaysia. In Africa, to do 11 or 12 countries, you need damn near $12,000 just for flights.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't like the fact that to any African country, a lot of the flights from New York cost at least almost close to over $2,000. Right? We're talking about West Africa. We're not even talking about East or going to South Africa. But then if I want to go to Japan, it could cost me like under $1,000. Like,
you're talking about what class? Economy prime, or are you talking about business class?
Just basic. I'm talking about basic.
Oh,
no, I'm talking about bare bones. No. All I'm saying is when I went to Japan, it didn't cost me more than $1,000. It cost me like roughly $9 and change to go to Japan in the like late August, early September. But if I want to go to Nigeria or Senegal, it's gonna cost me almost $2,000.
$500 to $800 to get you from America to the Philippines. One way.
And that's what I'm saying from New York. Now it's even cheaper if you're coming from the West Coast, right?
No, I was in Houston. I was in Houston and flew direct into Taiwan.
Yeah. But
so
I'm
do you
saying
think the country is better run by, I'll say it, white people?
Damn.
Austin, you live in Africa. African is, pro-black, but do you think that, or it's black, but do you think the country is better run when it got the white people?
Yes, I did a video about it, and I never posted it. I went a little too hard because it was when I went back to Namibia the second time, and I was like, wow, I'm driving by the oil change shop, and I'm like, they got on their shirts, their company shirts. When you're in East Africa, West Africa, they show up in a dirty ass polo with a backpack with a drill and a jack in their hand, and like you don't even. The only reason you know that they are here to fix your oil is because you call somebody. Otherwise, you would just think it's some random person. I don't know doing what. And so they have that level of profession. Like for example, the buildings that be collapsing in Kenya, they're not collapse. I mean, buildings can collapse anywhere, yes, but the amount and the frequency that they're collapsing is nowhere near like in comparison in a place like Namibia. Like it's just they take their corruption, let's say corruption is lower in those places. That's what that really all stems from. Corruption is lower, so they take their practices more serious. Because I'm pretty sure no African politician is like consciously saying like, yeah, I don't give a damn if that building collapses or not. But money is the root of all evil. So if you get paid $1 million to shut up, you won't care. But in places like Namibia, they're not really as corrupt. And I say not really because again, corruption exists everywhere. But
I gotta be fair because the Philippines is just as bad, but I don't want to say too much because I live here. But go look into the politicians and look at how many trillions of Filipino pesos have been taken in the last few months to a year.
But this is where I think the caveat is, the X factor is because Africa is filled with resources. That's the difference. I think that's the biggest. It's like, damn, okay, we expect you to be a little bit corrupt and take bribe money, but goddamn, like you're a country thriving with resources. You mean to tell me you can't build a functional, developing country? You don't have to necessarily be first world. You don't have to be a part of what's called the G08, like I forgot what they call like the 8 top countries. I forgot what they call, but they always have their accords or what have you. But you don't have to be a top 20 country economy in the world, but at least be functional. Like you should be able to have people can come in and out of your country smoothly for tourism, for commerce, you know.
Let me read this because I guess they think they own us something with this one. So southern states of America are worse than some African countries. That's bullshit.
You
So
must be out your mind, man. God damn, hell
here's the
no.
thing, right? In if you want to bring up African countries, one thing that Texas, Louisiana, well, let's leave Texas out of it because they're not as messed up as Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama,
Hold on, man.
places of Georgia, right? Those places have corruption that maybe you can compare. Let's use Louisiana. Maybe they have a fucked up, their shit is fucked up. Not to Africa's extent. At least Louisiana has Section 8, food stamps,
Clean water, relatively.
clean water. I mean, when you're talking about Africans, most African countries, if you don't have money to eat, you won't be eating today. You don't have nowhere to stay, you're gonna be sleeping outside. We literally have a government that gives us shit. So that's not you can't even compare those.
I want to put things into context also, Austin. To whoever who said that in SM 1426, I'm from New York. If I go to Texas right now or Mississippi, I don't have to get shots for dengue fever or hay fever or Zika or the Zika virus, right? Also, another thing I wanted to say too, damn, I lost track of it. A third of Nigeria doesn't have a power grid.
God, dog, and they got the nerve to come to America and act like they running shit up in here. God, dog.
Man, you should. I be cooking when I be cooking with, and it's crazy because I'm not FBA. Surprise, surprise, right? I'm actually my parents are Jamaican, but when it comes to the Nigerians, when they would talk about, I don't understand why these Americans they don't do this or they don't do that, or they'll say oh, in Nigeria, we take care, we provide fully 100% for our woman. And I'm like, I be cooking with fish grease. I'm like, oh, you mean the same Nigeria that a third of their country is without a power grid? I mean, you're living still in the dark ages. Like, come on now. And this is not, I'm not trying to ish on all Nigerians, but there's levels to poverty, right?
Yeah,
You got that right.
it's levels to poverty for sure. Let me not to mention we also got free education. Some African countries don't have free education. Like you literally, if you don't have the money for anything, you don't get a lot of things in African countries.
I'm glad you said that.
As far as even learning your ABCs, like literally,
All you have to do is expose your country to free education. You can use AI. It's easy. I mean, what are you safeguarding?
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Put it out there.
About the education, because check this out. Compared to America, right? Where do rich people send their kids in America? They send them to Brown, they send them to Harvard, they send them to Yale. Where do the rich Africans or the rich African politicians send their kids to go to education?
America.
United States.
or Europe.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So there's, like I said, there's levels to this. So you can't be talking about.
Yeah, I think Putin said it. Putin said it best. He said, Africa is just a cemetery for the people. That they send your kids for education, you send your money to another bank, you send everything else, and the only time you come back to Africa is to die and get buried.
Let me. I didn't hear that one. That's crazy though. I gotta go.
You did say that.
I gotta tell you this. We're always talking about giving back to Africa. Just one thing you can do is just pay teachers to go out to Africa and teach the kid for free, which has been done. Oprah did it, even though I don't like Oprah. But that's giving back.
Oprah did it, and she got found in the Epstein files.
Oprah did that. That was an agenda thing to create.
Yeah, I think it might have been. Oprah is crooked as fuck.
That was to create feminism, because if you found out, a lot of the teachers were found out to be PDFs and lesbians and what have you.
Keep in mind, Oprah was the one who went after Michael Jackson the most. And you know how Michael Jackson is in the Epstein files, right? You know about that, right?
Yeah. But this is why I say
Oprah went after him. So
this is why I say if you did mandatory military training and you did at least 2 years, 1 year of deployment, you would have a greater appreciation. Our worst ghetto is so much better than the worst of a lot of these countries. That's why they can come here and thrive in our environment, even though we think it's a disadvantage. It's 100% advantage to any other country that's coming from that type of poverty into our nation. they are still winning. And that's why they still thrive in environments where we feel like we're disadvantaged. You have no idea how privileged you are, even in the worst ghetto of America. It does not compare.
The first time when I joined the military, it was 1997 when I was in Turkey. And it was the first time I seen real poverty. I grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I knew then that where I grew up was still the hood, but it wasn't that bad because one of the hoods not too far from there was called P.T. Barnum, even though all pretty much Bridgeport is P.T. Barnum, but this one was called P.T. Barnum. And their ghetto just seemed like it was worse because it felt like it was dangerous all around. We weren't even allowed to go there. Our parents we couldn't even go to PT. And when I went to Turkey, I saw people with no legs and one arm crawling around, dirty and smelly as hell, asking for money. Dirty, smelly little kids grabbing on our clothes, giving us weird stuff and flowers and dried biscuits and telling us to buy it. I ain't never seen anything like that. And when I got back to my ship, I thought about it, and it really widened my brain. I was like, nowhere in Bridgeport did I see anything like that. Right down the street, they lived in nice apartments. Black people, Hispanics. Was not poverty. I didn't even want to call Bridgeport poverty anymore. I couldn't, because even the worst situation in my city where I grew up is nowhere near as bad as what I saw in Turkey.
Let me read a couple of these super chats and we'll continue on tomorrow. Judicial J says, just know that if you're messing with America's money and oil interests, they're taking you out. They have very much proved that. Geopolitical analyst Jeffrey Sachs been talking about how America has been fighting Israel's wars for the last 30 years and the state of the country. Plus, look up the definition of Greater Israel. I've heard of that. Cameroon, my ancestral country, France, was created a policy since 1971 to extract 80% of the country's GDP. Yes, so France is the worst colonizer in the world.
Look at Haiti. Haiti prides themselves as being a free nation. They fought for their freedom, but they actually paid for their freedom.
There's not one French colony that's not a territory right now that is in a shithole right now.
Yeah.
Like if you go to, like some people will say like Reunion Island, what's the one in French Guyana in South America, but those are still territories.
Martinique, Guadalupe.
Yeah, but the ones that got complete independence are fucked up. They designed them. They're the worst ones to be. I think honestly, you probably had it the easiest if you was with the British. At least they did. So America at least came from the British. Shit.
The French. I was gonna say the French is so bad that when they would leave African countries, I forgot which one it was, they would literally take the infrastructure off the roads, like destroy the roads that they created. So they're like, okay, we're not gonna leave you guys with nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Only to allow 20% on loan from the reserve to operate in their country. The continent needs to become a military state. I could see that. If I was an African country, I would move like Asia and build into the future instead of dancing on dirt, drinking fake alcohol, snatching chains. Yeah, like you said before, Asia and Africa got freed from their colonizers around the same time, like 50s, 60s, 70s. And Asia is night and day. Like Malaysia is night and day. Vietnam, let's just compare Vietnam to any African country. Like it's night and day. Nigeria, and they were still communists. Nigeria has 232 million people and has a GDP less than that of New Zealand, which is 5 million people. Wow. So that's all I have for y'all today. I appreciate y'all coming up. We've been on about 3 hours, 20 minutes. Y'all just hit me up on the back end of Ezra. I think you have me on Discord. And we can do this again tomorrow. I'm going to try to do these daily again and just post vlogs maybe once a week. So
I want to say appreciate you guys in the military. I didn't genuinely appreciate you guys. Salute to you guys. This was great. I want to say to everybody, just keep read. Black men, you must read to be informed. You need to be on top of things. You want to gain respect from everybody. What Malcolm X said: be a voracious reader. Try to be. If you're the smartest person in the room, leave that room and go to the next one. You know.
I appreciate it, Austin. Thanks for having us up, man. I hope that your chat just get some education.
They were nicer today.
Yeah, they were nice today. I was on their side, you know. Next
yeah,
time
they didn't come from me, man. That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
We'll do something. Now you got to bring the PhD man back and
yeah, we got to have
I want to come after him, but I didn't get a chance to get to him.
I didn't either.
You know, James, we in the same group chat. That's Jared in the group chat.
Yeah. But I don't want to do it. I don't want to have no group chat. You know I don't want to do it.
I just don't like people posturing. I just don't like people posturing, saying that they have a top secret clearance and they're posturing themselves.
I don't want to fight. I just wanted to get more insight on where his perspective comes from, because that's the better way of having a panel. Like if I say that Israel is the most powerful nation in the world, the things you should ask me is, why do I think that? Don't just say no, it's not. Here's why I think it's not. Ask me, why do I think that, and then go from there. That's a better way to have a panel.
I would agree.
Yeah, I think from that perspective, and that's why I say you need to read, because little old me that's a civilian, I was able to just drop facts about different things, and he had to concede a point, and then as soon as you guys came up, he's like, all right, let me bounce, because he couldn't just. He was struggling with fearless. It's like if all other three of us came in, we would try to. We were like intellectually jumping him. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, it's hard. It's hard being pro-Israel, man. I mean, I don't even. If you pro-Israel, shut up. Not really like shut up, like yo, shut your mouth. I mean, like just be pro-Israel and then listen to let people give you information and then take that into consideration. And once you do that properly, you may not be so pro-Israel anymore. Let people correct you. You gotta let people correct you.
You know what I believe? A lot of people, and there are people, unfortunately, because I consider myself somewhat of a conservative, but I believe, unfortunately, in this space, there are a lot of grifters that what they do is they watch Fox News and then they regurgitate. They have these big channels that we all know about. A lot of black conservatives in this space. They'll watch a Fox News clip and then they'll regurgitate what's going on, or they'll put up a clip. Like there's a particular person, he'll put up a clip of Iranian Americans talking about they're glad that the country's being liberated, or Venezuelan Americans, but they have no kind of geopolitical thought. They don't know anything about the country. They couldn't explain to you the history between them and us and America. I mean, us
but
and
we
them
say,
as a country.
I must say this, and I know Austin wants to get off, but we talk about the Magna people and they follow like Trump like a religion, but we pick our own people as black people and we never either condemn, try to verify, we just go with them. For instance, I'm having a debate on Friday and I called Dr. Sabi a fraud. No, you can't call that man no fraud. Like, one, he ain't even a doctor. But no matter how that goes, we blame MAGA, and we say they can do things without proof. But even in our own community, we would worship the people and say that would they do without proof. So we just as guilty as others. We just follow a different kind of God, as we would say, or idol.
Yeah, it was a great discussion, you guys. Thanks for having me on. Be safe. Oh, by the way, Austin, I'll be in Brazil. I got to give you the details of what's going on. I'll be there in like 2 weeks.
Hopefully. Oh, with the details of Floyd?
No, not that. It'll be my first time going. No. It'll be just my first time. It'll be my first time going to Brazil. So I'm excited.
All right, yeah, hit me up, man. I'll give you some intel.
All right, for sure. Be safe, you guys.
All right, thank you guys again.
All right, brothers.
Thanks, brother. Take care.